Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 25th of February 2021. This is The Gap, episode 554. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is here. How's your week going, Joab? Anything exciting happening?
Nah, nothing really.
Nothing
really exciting. You know, just kicking the can down the road. I have to ask.
Yeah.
How do you do this beard shit? I've been inspired to go for the beard.
Right.
From having to see you with this beard every fucking week.
Yeah.
And like, apart from the fact that my face, I want to fucking literally claw my face off. I want to take my face. Like mine looks like messy and unkempt. I look like let's ignore that I've got like little wispy grey bits at the bottom of my chin. Like, you know, it looks all patchy on the side and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yours looks fucking glorious.
It's not.
And I look like a dog with mange. It's just I need some tips. I need beard tips. Luke.
I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I think you need to speak to like Nate, because he's been going for a while now. For me, this is just like I didn't shave since January.
We are in the same boat, right? Like, I wouldn't ask Nate, because like that'd be like if I don't know, like, I want advice, because let's say we're stranded on an island, right? We're stranded on a tropical island. I get shipwrecked, and I like just sort of float ashore, and I get to shore, and I put together like just this shitty lean-to, like this absolute garbage lean-to, and I'm eating fucking grubs. And then I like take a walk down the beach, right? And I see you in a fucking treehouse with a monkey butler, right? And I'm like, how do I fucking do that? And like your response is, oh, you should ask Nate. And I look at Nate, and Nate's got a fucking castle up on the bluff, and I'm not ready for a castle on the bluff. I just want a treehouse with a monkey butler.
Yeah,
that's all I'm ready for, right? Like, Nate's perspective on this shit. First of all, I don't think he remembers growing a beard, right? Like, I think the beard grew Nate out of it. Like, I think it was the other way around. Nate is actually the beard, and the rest of him is the set dressing. But I've seen you grow this beard, so surely you got some fucking advice, something to tell me.
I guess don't shave it.
Get the fuck out of here! Don't shave it. Why do you not itch constantly? Why are you not itching? Do you itch?
I don't know. No, I think there was a point the last time I did it where I was like, "What the fuck? Like, why is it so itchy?" But this time it's no. It must be like the first time you do it, and that's it. It's gone.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. Now I just get the problem is that stuff like eating is a problem at this stage. Like, I've got to have fucking tissues with me all the time, because otherwise it's a disaster. Things like that.
I had a cream cheese bagel for breakfast, and it was a horror show. Good Lord.
Right.
Just fucking cream cheese everywhere. And yeah, mine's not even nearly as glorious as yours. It took me like fucking 15 minutes to wash my face. It was jalapeno cream cheese, so maybe that's why I'm itching. I don't know. Maybe
do you have a
jalapeno has seeped into my fucking hair follicles or something, and it's
do you have a beard towel? You need a beard towel.
A beard towel. Tell me more about this beard towel. See, like, I've got no advice, Joe. I got nothing to tell you, mate.
I'm just making shit up.
Get the fuck out of here. If I find out that a beard towel is a real thing, and you're keeping this from me, I'm going to be so fucking mad. I do have like a beard balm.
All right.
It stops it from itching for about half an hour.
just lather it on every 30 minutes.
I just like scoop it on constantly. Yeah. But yeah.
Right.
That's about all I got. I don't know. I'm going for the beard, but I tell you what, it might not make. Probably going to show up next week with back to my
just push through. Just push
shitty
through.
3-day growth. I'm trying. It's driving me fucking bananas. Anyway, like the fucking what's going on here?
Where?
Like it's so
For you or
patchy,
me?
it's so shitty.
Oh, me, yeah.
Me. Yours is fucking amazing.
No, mine's patchy as well. You just can't see it on this camera. Like right here, it's bad. But if you push through, then it gets to the point where it's probably thick enough to sort of hide how shit it is. It's this part that's like fucking that just goes. My goatee.
Yeah. Mine doesn't grow in here either. Like yours sort of does that. Like we're talking about the corners of the mouth, below the corners of the mouth. My beard doesn't grow down there, but yours appears to sort of do the same thing, but it's still fuller. And it's also there's no grey bits. So despite us only being 1 year apart in age.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how old I am at this stage. I've given up counting.
Yeah.
37? I think I'm 37. I don't know.
No, you can't be because I'm 37.
All right, I must be 36. So there's probably a website I can check this thing, right?
Yeah.
How old am I?
It's called a calculator. You fucking work out what year you were born in, and then you just work it out from there.
Yeah. Or I could just go to a website and it'll tell me.
Are you seriously like how old am I.com or some shit?
Nah, my age calculator. 36 years.
And how many months?
4. It even asks for a time, and I'm like, I don't need a time. I don't know.
That's a bit much.
It's too much. Too much information.
These days, everyone, like kids born these days, know all that shit. They'd know down to the fucking microsecond. Their dad would have taken a fucking photo for the gram or something. Oh, here's the baby. Here's when your head crowned, and I'll put it on TikTok with a weird filter. Here's what
now you're a cat.
Here's what your afterbirth would have looked like as a cat.
Yeah. Here's with your Disney princess eyes.
This is the oldest old person chatter that we've had on this podcast, by the way. Oh, the kids these days on their TikToks. Anyway, moving on.
We have the news sections back this week.
Big news week. And a handful of games. And I'm certain we've got questions. So let's jump into it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Go.
Bloons
6. I've been looking for a new mobile game to play, and Johnny Bravo suggested this on our Discord. And I've liked the Bloons games in the past. I like tower defense in general, and so I figured I'd give Bloons a look. I just sort of bounced off it. I don't know what it is. I think maybe I think my tastes in tower defense games has evolved so that, like, in a way where what I prefer are the maze builder tower defense. You know, it's so weird to think about, like, you know, tower defense seems like a pretty niche concept as it is. You know, like, oh, okay, so what, you don't even play, you just you build the towers and then let it happen, right? On the surface, it seems quite, niche.
It's the original game.
The original, yeah. But below that, there are subcategories of tower defense games, and it's I think my favorite type is the tower defense game where you build a maze for the units to go down, and the AI will path its way through the maze, and that's the preferred way to play. And it just Bloons is one of those games where they've got the path is set, and you try to defeat them based on placement outside of the path. And yeah, I guess it's just not my favorite kind. There was another really popular one like that. Was fucking huge for a little while there. I played all of them. I used to switch between Bloons and, oh my god, it's killing me. Like, I'm gonna have to look it up.
It's a tower defense game?
Yeah. Mobile-based tower defense. Kingdom Rush.
Yeah.
The Kingdom Rush games. Yeah. They do a very similar thing. Not exactly the same. They've got some stuff out in the path itself, but mostly, like, broadly speaking, you're restricted to the outskirts of the path. You can't build within it. And yeah, I think I just prefer to build my own path. I don't know what it is. I think I find that more engaging. You know, like there's something about the architectural element of creating this perfect path. Although, like, there are, like, yeah, there are ways for that to fall over as well. Like when they give you too many resources, there's one very obvious path. But yeah, I guess, you know, I got a little bit of that when we were playing Loop Hero, right? Obviously, it wasn't pathing for AI or anything, but there's that element of the grid-based architecture or layout-based gameplay in trying to craft the best possible like, I don't know, layout for your upgrades and stuff.
Sure.
And I just really like that style of game. So yeah, I bounced off Bloons, unfortunately, but like, if you're after a tower defense game and you don't care too much what kind, like, it rips. Like, the only reason, like, I must have played it for like 4 hours before I bounced off it. Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough. I think I'm not going to get to do the thing that I want to do. But yeah, you just keep, like, taking on harder and harder levels, and you bump up the difficulty. And yeah, it's like they've got a really good, like, system in place. I don't know if you play the Bloons games, but like, your monkeys, you're killing balloons. It seems like sort of dumb on the face of it, but yeah, it just sort of winds up making sense. The basic monkey is shooting a blow dart at the balloon, and as you go further down, you know, your monkeys get crazier and crazier. They're flying planes and shooting cannons and shit like that, but the balloons get crazier and crazier as well, until they are, like, armored and frozen and all this kind of shit. And yeah, you wind up in these situations where you've got to account for lots and lots of different little things.
Yeah.
Like, all these different elements. And I think that is sort of the essence of the tower defense game. Is it's almost like a deck builder, right? Like, in that the only way to win is to have enough knowledge of what you'll face to account for every circumstance. And you have to, you know, manage your budget enough so that you can do it in a way that is like efficient. So yeah, it's very compelling. But yeah, it just wound up not being the tower defense for me,
right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I talked about it in 2018 when I went to QuakeCon, because I had it as my tablet game when I was playing on the plane. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it is now, but it wasn't free back then. I had to buy it, but it was only a couple of bucks even then. It might have only just come out at that stage. So I don't know if it's
bought it back then, actually, because I don't know if it's free either, but I didn't have to buy it. So it might have been already in my library.
Well, I did see it show up on my Steam list the other day for some reason. I don't know why. Possibly because I was playing some tower defense, sort of that idle game, and it might have just popped up for that reason. But it's definitely a paid game on Steam. I'm not sure about on mobile still. I'm going to assume it is. Bloons TD 6 is $5 US on Apple Store and $5 on Google. So yeah, still a paid game.
Right. So yeah, I must have bought it back in 2018.
Yeah.
and bounced off it then. It didn't have any of my save games or anything, so
Right.
whatever. But yeah. Anyway, Bloons. Yeah, like if you like tower defense, it absolutely works. It's just not the tower defense for me. What else we got? What's up next? More
Dungeon
mobile
Faster.
games. Dungeon Faster. So my quest for a great mobile game continues. And this time I've landed on Dungeon Faster, which is a well-regarded game, but I actually wound up not liking it all that much. It's a bit of a deck builder, roguelike type game. They seem to be quite popular on mobile. Like it's a popular genre on mobile, but the weird thing is, like, what it is, what I think it's sprung from is the idea of why don't they just put Slay the Spire on mobile?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, it's a fair question. Why don't they just put fucking Slay the Spire on mobile or Monster Train or whatever? Like these games, there must be some part or like some element in them that makes them not work as mobile games, but I can't fucking see it. It's not UI, it's not like mechanics, unless it's like literally computing. I can't see why they wouldn't shove it on mobile and make billions instead of millions, you know?
Well, I think the difference there is that a lot of these games are free and they've got gem systems and all sorts of weird like microtransaction stuff on there, whereas if they chuck it on there, they spend all this development time and they need to charge for it, and say like, hey, this game is, like, what is it on Steam, $20 or something like that? Like, they're not going to get away with that, and so maybe the safer bet for them is to just not put it on there. Like, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. They've obviously looked into it. That would be my assumption, is that it's like if you're selling the exact same game on a different platform for a lot less, maybe it's just not worth it for them at this stage. Maybe that's a project that is like, all right, we'll give Slay the Spire 4 years and then we'll chuck it on mobile.
Yeah, okay, that's probably fair. Like, I don't know. It just, to me, it feels like an excuse to print money hand over fist. You look at like Among Us, right? Among Us versus on Steam, right? I
Slay the
believe
Spire is on mobile.
Is it?
Yes, I'm just looking now. It's $10 on mobile.
What? When did this happen?
I don't know. It's on iOS and Android.
Android. It's on Android.
It actually just came out on Android like 2 weeks ago.
Fuck! I think I saw the news that it was coming to mobile, and I must have thought, oh, it's coming like eventually, and I'll hear about it when it does actually hit. And then I just didn't fucking
right. I mean, it's $10. It's not the $25 US that it is on Steam. It's definitely a price cut, but like, I'm assuming it's the same game. Like, it's, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The reason I got Dungeon Faster is because it won a bunch of like Game of the Year awards from like mobile sites, and it was regarded as a really good deck building roguelike. But I think it's a really good. It might be, among the best of the deck building roguelikes.
Yeah.
On mobile at the time, not in general, and I think that's a bit of a problem because, like, it just doesn't compete with the deck building roguelites that aren't on mobile. That, like, the real heavy hitters of the fucking genre. I just found it to be quite shallow in terms of the deck building system. Like, you acquire new cards as you use them, and you fire them at random while you're going through a dungeon, and you're fighting enemies. So basically, each level you got to find a key and the next, like the path down the ladder down. And when you find the key, you'll fight an enemy, and you can't, take the path down until you've killed that enemy. And that's about like all there is to that element of it, right? Like, along the way, right, each level has like traps and stuff that you need to navigate, but you're uncovering each level at sort of random. You don't know what the tiles on the level will show, so it's almost like imagine you had a grid of 25 cards, like code names, right, laid out in front of you, and you flip one, right, and instead of, I don't know, some word that you make people guess, you flip one and it's got like a gem, and that gem you can use to like cast your magic powers and stuff. So you flip that card and it's got a gem that goes into you, and or you flip it and it's got some stakes, and that means it's a trap and you lose some health. Or I don't know, another enemy, right? A second enemy. And so you've got to balance your decision to uncover everything on a single level with your ability to like live through what it's going to throw at you. And yeah, you got to make those decisions. It just I don't know. It feels like too much of the game is directed at the randomness. Like there's you can manage for that RNG, but it's one of those situations where managing for RNG is literally not playing the game. I think that's what it is, right? Like the more you play it, the more you understand that you're not supposed to uncover every card on a level, or I mean later on anyway. And that, but like uncovering the cards on the levels is how you play the game. Uncovering the tiles on the level, sorry, is how you play the game. And so the strategy is to play the game less and less until I just found myself not playing the game because
you're kind of just turning over cards and having to deal with whatever it's given you. Like there's no skill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there's definitely like there's skill in knowing what might be under the tiles and being able to account for it.
Yeah.
But it's it doesn't feel like there's no that okay, if I do this and this and this, then I'm gonna have the perfect run ever, right? That's that monster train thing, right? Like or Slay the Spire thing where you like, okay, well, if I take this guy and I'm gonna like eat a bit of shit for a little while, but if I can get him fed all the way up, and then I can find the multi-strike, he is going to murder everything. There's none of that. You sort of just grinding your way through this dungeon each time, and you get a little bit further and you unlock a shortcut and stuff like that, but unlock shortcuts and stuff like that, but it doesn't like result in satisfying play. It just sort of allows you to get deeper in the dungeon, and yeah, I just didn't find that terribly interesting. So I bounced off that, and now I'm going to go buy Slay the Spire, play that instead, because the other game I've been playing on my mobile and on my PC, just in general, is Hearthstone.
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 Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone. We've been pronouncing it wrong this for years. Turns out.
Bloody and Diablo. I'm never going to say Diablo. I'm always going to say Diablo.
Diablo.
I
say it both ways. I don't know. I mix and match.
Sometimes
I'm Ubisoft, sometimes I'm Ubisoft. It doesn't matter. That's what I wanted to do. Someone like give him a fucking bunch of words. That guy, like, now say Ubisoft. Now say GIF.
Yep. Yeah.
Fresh references.
Super fresh. So was watching BlizzCon. They announced a hero building single player game coming to the next expansion for Hearthstone. I'm like, well, I could play that. I've got that on my mobile. I want a fucking deck builder on my mobile, and Slay the Spire does exist, but I'm too much of an idiot to know about it. So yeah, maybe I'll reinstall Hearthstone on my fucking mobile. And so that's what I did. And I've been playing Battlegrounds, which is, it's an auto chess game. It's Hearthstone's auto chess game. And I played a little bit of the others, like the other modes and stuff, but I just don't like it. I said it the other week when I went on my 80-minute rant about Magic the Gathering. I'm not playing versus mode card games anymore. I think Battlegrounds manages to skirt past it because it's an auto battler as opposed to a regular card duel.
Sure.
But I just don't like card duels. I think I worked it out too. Like, I've been sitting there fucking wondering why I don't like card duels. And it's because I've played fucking duels in other games. Right? You play fucking Quake 3. You duel in Quake 3 or Rocket Arena. Right? And you know what you've got, right? Like, you know all your weapons. Like in Rocket Arena, you've got all your weapons from the fucking outset. Right? And you know how to, you press Q for your rocket launcher and E for your railgun. And, what do you do? What's your setup?
R is rocket launcher. What the fuck?
Why? Because it starts with R. That is fucking idiotic. It's your most used weapon.
Yeah, R. R is rocket launcher. Q is plasma gun.
Q is plasma gun.
F is lightning gun.
Fucking Christ. Oh my god!
This is why you're bad at Quake. It's finally explained.
Fuck off. Okay, I will blitz you at Quake, motherfucker. Anyway. So dumb. Anyway, if you press R, you'll get your rocket launcher, right? This sounds so dumb. But in a duel in a card game, you don't know what you're going to get, right? And I don't have a problem with that in single-player card games because you are constructing your deck to beat a computer, right? But in versus mode, in duel card games, other people are building their deck to beat you. And I just feel like too often it comes down to a case of, like, my RNG beats, like, I think I've said it before. I don't, like, there's a certain amount of elation in top decking your way to a victory, but it's fleeting. It's not a long-lasting, like, success, right? You're like, you fuck, oh my god, I can't believe the exact card I needed showed up just in time to save me, right? And in that moment, you're like, fuck, yes, that is some shit, because in that moment, you feel lucky, right? Everyone likes to feel lucky. But afterwards, right, if you examine your own success, like, if you practice any amount of self-reflection, you realize that you were about to lose, that your strategy had put you in a situation where you were probably going to lose, and it was only by sheer luck that you managed to get away with it. And that, I find, is not terribly satisfying, right? There's not a skill there's not a skill-based element in that, right? Like, it's a bit like battle royale wins, right? When you get circle gifted, except when you get circle gifted, like, you can still compartmentalize it. You can still, like, chalk it up to, okay, well, because I do this, okay, well, I ensured that we were in a position where, unless the circle went one specific direction, we would be in the superior position. We would be able to win this game, right? Like, on Resurgence in Warzone, when the circle has, like, when the final circles and there's only 3 teams left, if you're the team on the roof of the jail, I believe, in my opinion, with a few exceptions, you put yourself in a fantastic. You've carved out a fantastic path to victory, right? The amount of like that final circle, right? You are best positioned to win the game from there. Before that, your path to victory has been paved with terrors, because that rooftop is a nightmare. Everyone knows that roof will give you the superior positioning 9 times out of 10. So it winds up being a situation where like you're in so much trouble being up there until it gets to the point where you are guaranteed that the circle will hold everyone else out. That is skill, right? That is positioning skill. That is good play, and you have played well in a way that has secured your victory for your team. That isn't the case when you top deck a card, right? Like you didn't play well. I mean, if it's like the last card in your deck and you top deck it, that's not top decking. That's fucking bottom decking. And like, if that's what you needed to win, then you played that fucking expertly, and that's not luck. That is perfection. That's fantastic. But that's not what happens most of the time. Most of the time, what happens is, oh yeah, I just happened to get that one card. Yay, I win. I just don't like that. Battlegrounds is different. Obviously, RNG like heavy. But yeah, there's all auto battlers require a degree of like extra skill that it's not. See, I keep saying skill, and that's not correct, because there's absolutely no question in my mind that there are supremely skilled card game players out there, right? And I'm not trying to diss anyone who plays cards at a high level. I recognize they're fucking amazing. My problem is I don't have the patience or time to learn. Like their skill is derived from a significant amount of study, right? Like they have studied all of the cards, not just the cards of the deck that they want to build or the cards of the class that they want to play or anything like that. They've studied every single card, and so they know how to build a great deck from nothing, like 30 cards all at once that will be able to take someone else on. They know that they have, like in Slay the Spire, they know that they have created situations where they will be able to like account for every single variable that is going to be thrown at them, and they won't wind up in situations where they need to top deck. I don't have the fucking time or patience to do that, and I haven't studied the cards enough. So I wind up making decks that I think will do good, like do well based on what I understand of Hearthstone. But invariably, there are, situations that I haven't accounted for, and it will fall over to some extent. And that is it's obviously my failing, but most of the time, because of, it's Blizzard. They're part of Activision. They know how to do matchmaking, or sort of. They put me up against other people who are doing the same thing as me. They've made their decks to do some cool things and probably win games. And what will wind up happening is they will have not accounted for everything, and they will need to rely on RNG. And so at my level of play, I guess is what I'm saying, the level of play that I care to at least, get to, I don't care for versus mode card games, because I don't care to learn all of that stuff, because it just winds up being my RNG beats your RNG, or your RNG beats my RNG, and I just don't find that very satisfying. Yeah, I've watched pros play Hearthstone, and there's still a fairly significant degree of RNG in there, but at the same time, like, you can see that they are making intelligent, like information-based decisions that have carved them out a path to victory. Right? They are fantastic, and I've watched. We've been to Magic the Gathering tournaments, and I've seen the same from Magic the Gathering players. That's not the level of play that I'm at, though. Right? When I'm talking about Magic doesn't do this or Hearthstone doesn't do this, I'm talking about at my level of play. Always, right? Like in every game, I'm talking about at my level of play. Anyway, Battlegrounds isn't like that because, like, you can actually account for a lot of stuff, right? Like, you are building your deck out in the auto chess fashion over the course of the game, and you can, if you are paying enough attention, you can make you can tech against enemies quite intelligently and like stop them. I've been on a bit of a winning streak in Battlegrounds. I haven't even, like, I don't even play it with that much. I'm playing fucking Idol Slayer while I'm playing Battlegrounds. I'm playing the two things at the same time. That's the worst thing about Battlegrounds is that like the in between rounds, you've got like at least 70 seconds. And on the phone, that's, I don't know. Some rounds I need all 70 seconds to do the individual things that I need to do to get my board right. But most of the time I do not need 70 seconds. I need about 15. And then there's 55 seconds of sitting around doing nothing. And that's a bit boring. So on the phone, that's a bit of a drawback for the Battlegrounds. But yeah, on PC, yeah, I've been on a bit of a winning streak, but I'm literally playing Idol Slayer while I'm playing Battlegrounds at the same time. And I'm multitasking, and I'm still winning because you've got your rating. I'm still only like 3,500 rated. I think it doesn't get super difficult until like 6,000 or something. And yeah, I'm just sort of in this, like, you can't jump straight. Gone are the days when a matchmaking system or a matchmaking rating would work out your level using a bunch of test games, like the 10 test games. Now they just start you at 0 and make you climb your way up. So I'm climbing my way up. And yeah, you wind up in these situations where they've got one giant fucking thing that will kill everything. They've been playing demons, and they got this card that every time you play a demon, he gets +4/+4. And so by the time you come up against him, and there's only like 4 of you left in the game, he's got like 140 or some shit. And anyone who attacks him, like, entire boards die to, like, trying to kill him. And the rest of his board is for shit. It's just demons that he's been playing to try to buff this guy up. And so you just buy whatever poison stuff you find, because anything that attacks poison dies instantly, and that's it. Instead of whatever your strategy is, you just eliminate 3 cards, 3 minions on your board, and replace them with poison, and he wipes. Like, he dies instantly because he takes so much damage that he's out of the game the very next round. And then you go back to doing what you were doing, I don't know, fucking beasts or murlocs or whatever the fuck. But yeah, like, there's room for that kind of teching. Or, if someone's got fucking divine shields for days, then you just find the 1 or 2 minions that provide damage to all. There's a taunt minion that does like 1 damage to everything. And most of the time, if these cards don't have their divine shields, they just don't have enough in the tank. They're not, like, at this level, people aren't playing at a high enough level that they've accounted for this stuff. Like, you just, yeah. But that's auto chess shit, right? That's not card game shit. That is auto chess, where you need to account for your success and you need to have accounted for how you are most likely to fail. And it's easy to do in Underlords because you've got the ability to change your positioning. But on the flat board of a Hearthstone board, the best you can do with positioning is turn order, and that's not all that much. So you've got to go a bit deeper on that stuff. But it's not gameplay depth. It's like you need to think a bit harder to work out how you can shore up your weaknesses, as opposed to in Underlords. I think there is gameplay depth in being able to reorder, reposition on the board and stuff like that, and you can create some really interesting scenarios that just don't necessarily happen all that much in Battlegrounds. I'm enjoying myself, but now that I know Slay the Spire is out on mobile, I'm probably not going to play it. Until the fucking Hero Builder comes out, and then I'll play that. I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah. I was pretty close to installing it.
Yeah.
Hearthstone. Because I was looking for another game to just jump on and be my my podcast game. But some other stuff come through
while we record the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also jumped into Monster Train as well. So I've been playing a little bit of that, but not much really to talk about. I did some extra Covenant levels, and that was about it. I guess we'll jump back into that more once this new patch drops. But yeah, I think I'll jump into Hearthstone maybe in the next week or so. I'll install it and check it out. I never really got into it as much, so I'm keen to sort of see how far it's come or what's changed, and if somebody can just jump in and just play as opposed to spending money. And because you got to buy cards and shit, right, in that game, like expansions and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that's like just jumping in without any of that stuff, and whether or not it's playable.
Yeah. I've got all this gold, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
because I feel like the season's about to end, so I don't know. It feels like it'd be a waste and stuff. And yeah, I don't know.
All right. Cool. Anything else to add?
No.
All right, let's move on to Persona 5 Strikers, which is an action hack and slash JRPG.
Right.
It is a sequel / spin-off to Persona 5. It's set 5-6 months after the events of Persona 5. But the actual gameplay is very much different, whereas Persona 5 was an action turn-based JRPG, turn-based RPG. This is a hack and slash game, sort of like a Dynasty Warriors meets Persona game, or what was the other one? Hyrule Warriors, I think, was sort of a Dynasty Warriors thing. I've never played any of those games, so they're just genres or games that I've seen thrown around that fit in this type of in this world. But basically, yeah, it's a completely different combat style compared to the last game. But in saying that, it uses the presentation is Persona 5. It's everything about it is there. All the music is spot on. The art style and the little things they do in between cutscenes and fight scenes, there's just always crazy shit happening on the screen, and that is something that they've taken from Persona 5 and put into Strikers, and so it feels like a sequel almost. All the new all the characters are there that are in the original game. They're all playable, they're all interacting with each other. I guess it's a little bit smaller in terms of scope because in Persona 5, you're sort of venturing out as a high school kid and going through your day, going to school and learning, and then going into dungeons and sort of like this turn-based Pokemon style game where you're collecting masks and different personas and then leveling them up and then using them as like summons and that sort of thing, and then like all the stuff outside the school, meeting new characters and then bringing them into your team. And so this game is a bit more like it's a little bit more smaller. It's sort of drilled down into investigations and then dungeons. And for the most part, like Persona is about meeting these interesting or characters that seem like they're bad, that are affecting the real world, going into this alternate sort of dimension, and then like cleansing their like what is causing them to be bad and reverse what they've been doing. And it's all about like going for their heart and changing their heart. And Persona 5 Strikers is a little bit like that, where you're going after their desires. And so these characters in the real world, for instance, the first person you come up against is like this like teenage model slash entertainer who is basically somehow causing other people to like go crazy for her and spend all this money buying her stuff, and it's just like out of character for all these people. Like they'll just meet her and like one dude on a TV show like proposes to her on the spot while being engaged and shit like that. And so like there's just all this crazy wacky stuff that happens in the game where you're tasked to try and figure out like, all right, who is doing this and how do we go and cleanse them? And so this is Persona 5 Strikers sort of dives into that side of it a little bit more. And so you do like the investigations, you sort of figure out who it is that's behind it, and that usually takes quite a lot of time to do. And then you go into like the dungeons, the alternate worlds that you can go in, and you're running around, triggering battles. There's almost like a stealth sort of sequence where you're navigating this area, and each which is kind of similar to Persona 5, where like each battle that you sort of get into, you can sneak up and ambush enemies, and if you do that, then you sort of get like a bonus. You are able to attack them quicker, but if they spot you, then they'll get the jump on you and they attack you first. It's sort of like deciding whose turn is it to go first. And when you initiate a combat on this enemy, it starts off and goes into like a bigger battle where all these smaller enemies spawn in, and you've got to battle them all at once in this action-based 4-party member combat, where each person in your team has different tools to sort of deal with what's coming towards them and what they're up against. So Joker, for instance, has like knives or swords, and he's able to stab people and that sort of thing, whereas and has like a whip and that sort of stuff. So you can sort of I guess approach combat differently depending on which characters that you take in there, and then you're casting sort of like spells. There are elemental effects: fire, wind, water, frozen abilities, sleep, poison, like the list goes on and on and on. There's tons and tons of that sort of stuff in there, and each one is sort of related to the personas that you take into the battles with you, because you're using stamina points to cast these spells like a normal turn-based game, but rather than like sitting there and being like, what do I want to use now? It's all in real time. And you're doing it on the fly. And so as the game progresses more and more, you start unlocking extra combat abilities, because it's basically like I said, it's a hack and slash. You press an X, you press an Y, heavy attack, light attack, and that's your combos. Like that's what you've got. And then you start unlocking these master arts, and they start introducing combo abilities that allows you to do a lot more damage. But at the same time, they then tie into your persona attacks as well. And so you can start casting some of these spells that you've got without it costing you stamina points. And so that really allows you to start changing up your attack patterns on the fly depending on what you're going up against. So if you get into a battle and there is something with a lot of health that is weak to fire damage, but you've only got like a something that's doing a persona that's doing water damage, then you can quickly press a button, switch across to something, one of your other personas that has fire damage, and then start belting out these combos, and then that allows you to do a crap load of damage without actually costing you stamina points. And so there's, on its surface, the combat seems pretty shallow, like there's not a lot to it, but then you start unlocking these extra things that the game has, and it gets quite deep. Almost like it reminds me a little bit of like Kingdom Hearts, I guess, but I think Kingdom Hearts, the combat wasn't as deep. It's kind of just you button pressing and it's just doing like shit exploding on the screen. Whereas there's a lot more strategy here and like remembering combos and that sort of stuff. So yeah, the combat, it's pretty deep. I don't like it as much as what I like the turn-based combat from Persona 5.
Right.
It's just not my style. I think that the like tutorial system explaining how all these systems work is very poorly introduced to you. It's sort of just like a text screen that'll pop up and be like, here's 4 screens of text and remember how to do all this stuff. And then later on, you just don't remember because it's just so it's like an information dump. It just chucks it all at you at once. And it's like, here you go. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. And you're like, all right, fair enough. Okay. And so I've found, and I feel like this is a recurring theme from stuff that I've read, that the combat is a bit tricky to get around. I turn the difficulty down, which seems to be a recommendation that like I was reading on Reset Era the other day. A lot of people saying, yeah, just turn the difficulty down because it does such a bad job of explaining a lot of these systems. And here's a good video to watch because this guy goes really in depth for 20 minutes on advanced combat tips and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally a video I watched the other day when I was like, like, what am I missing in this combat? That allows you to really get a grasp of what is going on. Because like I said, it seems pretty basic of the like, you press X and you press Y. And that's kind of what I was doing, and switching personas and like getting into the end of a battle and then running out of stamina points between all my party members. And this thing I'm fighting has 50% health left. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I can do anymore. Like, what am I supposed to do? This thing is belting me. And then realizing like, oh no, you can cast your abilities by using certain combos. And I'm like, I missed all of this stuff. Like, I don't know where it was, but anyway.
Is this stuff in all these Warriors style games? Or
I'm not sure because I haven't played it. I don't know. But
right. Because like people fucking lose their shit about these Dynasty Warriors. They're like, oh my god, they're so good. I fucking love them. I'm like, I played Dynasty Warriors 1, and then I played Dynasty Warriors 7, and I could not tell the difference. They appeared to be the exact same games, and they're like, "Oh no, there's so much going on. You'd love these games, Joab." And I'm like, "How? How would I love them? Why wouldn't I just go play the first one? They're exactly the same." And yeah, maybe there's some hidden complexity that I've been missing all this time. Maybe I need whatever this video is to explain it to me.
Yeah, and that was the thing that was sort of missing to me. Was that link between doing combos and then having it tied back to persona abilities and then being able to like rearrange, because each persona has I don't know, like there's tons of abilities they've got and you can rearrange them, and like there's this whole like breeding system that's sort of in the game where you can splice together 2 personas to make a more powerful one, and then you can take across some of their existing abilities to the new one, and there's all this wacky shit in there that you can then bring back into the normal combat, and it allow you to do that for free. So like there's stuff in there that you can do where for instance there's a healer, right? And so rather than you just being like, oh, I'm going to use my healing ability, you map the button for healing onto the combo and you just press fucking X 5 times and Y, and then he'll do a heal and heal your whole party. And you can just like, whenever you need a heal, you switch over to that character and you're like, fucking bing bang, I'm healed.
Bing bang boom.
Stuff like that. And there's a lot of cool interactions between like switching between different party members in your team at certain times and doing like combo attacks with them. You're building up different meters that allows you to do stronger attacks. Like there's definitely a lot of depth there. It just doesn't do a great job of explaining how to do all this stuff. It chucks at you very quickly and doesn't really give you a chance to sort of learn these systems, which Persona 5 does a fantastic job. I really like Persona 5 a lot. Whereas this game feels a bit too like rushed, I guess. Like a perfect example of that is just like the party member system. You take in four party members into a fight, but from the get-go, you have everybody unlocked from the original Persona 5 game from the start. It's like, I don't know, 12 people, something like that. And there's like one new character that they introduce into this game. And I think she's playable. I'm not used to her. But like that's an example of like, why are all these party members here? Like, it's not like they're slowly giving them to you, like in a normal JRPG or like Persona 5 where it's where it's Joker and Riju. Raiju. I can't remember his fucking name. I think it's RYUJ or something.
Hearthstone.
Yeah, I'm blanking. I think it's Riju. Ryuju? I can't remember. Anyway, but it's like they introduce you with one character, then you get another character, and then it's like your party slowly grows, and then you can start switching out between on like who you want to take with you and who their strengths are, and like you pick your tank and you pick your damage dealer and you pick your support characters, and they obviously have roles in this game as well, but they just dish it all to you all at once. They're like, fucking figure it out. So for somebody that's not played Persona 5, or at least all the way through, you may not know who a lot of these characters are, or if you haven't played at all, you don't know like what they do. You don't know who your healers are. You don't know who your tanks are. And so it's just like, good luck, have fun with it. And so I found myself just using the same 4 characters from the start, because I'm like, it doesn't really do a good job of explaining like why should I be switching to these other characters, because they're leveling up, but they're leveling up a lot slower. They're not like, why would I want to take the weaker characters in with me when they're 4 levels behind? Just stuff like that. That I think that it just doesn't do a great job of any of that sort of thing. What else is there? The checkpoint system is really strange to me. So again, I've complained about this so many times. Fucking Japanese games where they give you checkpoints. They're like, you can only save at this specific spot, and that is it. You can't save anywhere else because that's bad. And sometimes you go fucking half an hour in this game with like, I need to save the game, and you won't let me save the game. Like, why won't you just let me save the game, please? And so if you do want to do that, you kind of just skip the dialogue because there's a lot of fucking dialogue in these games. Anyway, so you can only save the game at certain situations when you're running around, either checkpoint systems or locations within the real world. And when you're in a dungeon, the way that you regain SP, stamina points or health points is by getting to a checkpoint system, leaving the dungeon, which takes you back to the real world, and then going from the real world back into the dungeon and then starting just running around again. That is how you get back your health and stamina points without spending items, without using your items. It's almost like think of it as a bonfire in Dark Souls, but rather than you running up and pressing X and it going, all right, we're going to respawn all the enemies and we're going to give you all your health back and all that sort of shit. Rather than it doing that, it takes you back to the main menu. But then you've got to wait another minute, and then you press continue, and then you got to wait another minute for it to load, and then you start going again. And the game specifically tells you, like, hey, there is no negative side effects to using the checkpoint system. You should do it every time. Like, you should go back to the real world, and then it's like, why don't you just let me just do the Dark Souls thing? Just let me press X, and then give me my health back, as opposed to me waiting 2 minutes, like leaving and then coming back, and like all this bullshit in between. And It's so frustrating.
It's like, it's gonna make me look like a real impatient baby when I complain about my biggest gripes with Curse of the Dead God.
Yeah. But just stuff like that where the game is being like, hey, yeah, like this is how you do a mechanic. You should leave the dungeon. There's no reason why you shouldn't. It recommends you should leave and then come back. But it takes so fucking long. I'm just like, oh, just let me like I'll get to a checkpoint. I'm like, should I leave? I've got like I'm halfway through my stamina points, or should I just press on and maybe I'll get to the next checkpoint and then I'll leave and then come back? And it's just poorly thought out, I think. I would love to see a patch where they're just like, if you get to checkpoint, we'll just fucking heal you if you press a button on it. Like all you need to do is press X, it'll heal you, give you stamina back, and you can just keep fucking running. It doesn't do like the wiggly thing like we're leaving the dungeon and then we're going back to the real world, and you get back to the real world and you're like, all right, we're going back to the dungeon. Yeah, just a bunch of things in the game that I think could be a lot tighter. Because it's awesome being back in this world with these characters, and like the music is so fucking good and the presentation is so good, and that's what Persona does really well. That I think it's sort of missing out, and like that sort of fine-tuned polish that Persona 5 had, because I really enjoyed that game quite a lot. And this one it's still good. It's just got a lot of problems that I see in there that I'm like, it does feel like a spin-off game. Like it doesn't feel like a sequel by the same team. It feels more like a something to the side, like the spin-offy thing where it's like, oh, we tried to do something else that's a little bit different. So I think people that liked Persona 5 will still enjoy. They'll get a kick out of it. But it seems like it needs another patch or so to sort of fix up some of the combat issues. Because one of the biggest complaints I've seen about the combat is like the difficulty spike. The difference between easy and normal is just easy seems too easy, and normal is just like maybe too hard. And that could be another sort of connection between the way the game is doing the tutorial stuff, that a lot of players aren't getting the complete picture of how you should be doing the combat. Because if you're doing it the way that I was doing it, and it looks like a lot of people were doing it, they're really going to struggle when you get to those boss fights, because you won't be able to beat them. They're just, I mean, you'll beat them by chipping away health, but you'll get halfway through that fight and just be completely out of the resources that you need to attack it with. So anyway, like I guess the thing that this game does really well is that it makes me want to go back and keep playing Persona 5, because
right,
like, and that's maybe not a good sign. Like, would I rather spend my time playing Persona 5, or would I rather spend my time playing Persona 5 Strikers? And at this stage, I feel like I would go back and play Persona 5 more than what I've done here, and like that could be a real thing that happens at some stage. Jump back in and get in there.
That's the that's the Warriors thing, right? Like, I guess it probably happened with Hyrule Warriors as well. You know, people were like, oh, would I rather continue to play Hyrule Warriors, or would I prefer to go play Breath of the Wild again? I'm sure people who love Warriors games probably kept playing Hyrule Warriors, and people who were in it for Zelda probably went back and played more Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping that they've got another... I'm hoping they've got multiple teams and they're working on different games, because obviously they did Persona 5 Royal like a year or two ago, which was the same game but like an extra character at the end. They like threw on almost like a mini expansion or some DLC, and now they've got this game, Persona 5 Strikers, and I'm hoping that they've got another team working on something else, because Persona 5's a 5-year-old game at this stage, and it still absolutely holds up really well. So I would just hope they've got something else cooking, because I think that team does a pretty good job with those types of games. Like Persona 5 or the Persona series, never played it back in the day, and like absolutely fell in love with Persona 5. I thought it was awesome turn-based combat action game, JRPG. real cool.
Weeb stuff.
Anyway, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know, man. Like Persona 5 Strikers, I feel like I could recommend it to fans of the series because I think it's out today or yesterday. I think it came out.
Right.
But just be cautious. Like I just don't think it's anywhere near as good as those other games, and the combat is obviously wildly different. While still using like a lot of the same art assets, that you run into the same sort of characters and villains and enemies, and like all the HUD icons are very similar when you look at certain things, but like I haven't seen anything new, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's all stuff, refresh stuff that are or reused assets and things like that. So anyway, that's Persona 5 Strikers out now on pretty much like everything. I'm playing on PC.
Nice.
Runs great on PC. Okay, should we keep moving on here? We got Rainbow Six Siege. You've been playing a bunch of this, or a little bit of it.
Yeah, fair chunk of it. Played some Crimson Heist, which is Year 6, Season 1 of Rainbow Six Siege. And yeah, got to have a good run at this the other day, which was good fun. Yeah, I don't know where to start. I mean, first of all, Rainbow Six has made it to Year 6, which is huge. I think that's fucking amazing. The little fucking tactical shooter that could.
Sure.
And they gave us a look at the entire roadmap for like the year and let us see everywhere they're going to go. The Crimson Heist kicks off with an Argentinian operator and a remake of Border. I didn't think it was that significant a redo, to be honest. There are some significant changes, but like compared to House or Canal, I didn't find it to be that grand. It was they've redone a couple of like areas in ways that I think make a fucking ton of sense. And yeah, like otherwise it's so like Canal, they basically redid the entire outside because they had to get rid of so many fucking windows. Or House, the downstairs area has been completely redone and stuff like that. Like it's not the same kind of change. Season 2, they will be going to I can't remember what they're called. The indigenous, the First People nation in Canada, but I can't remember their name. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Nakota, the Nakota nation from Canada, and they'll rework Favela. Season 3 has an operator from Croatia, and it'll be a bunch of small tweaks, which Border almost feels like it's just barely bigger than a small tweak. And Season 4 will have the first Irish operator, and they're going to like break down and redo Outback, which I find to be very interesting because I thought Outback not only was very well done in the first place, but it was like a fantastic, I often point to it as an indicator of the design style evolution of Rainbow Six Siege. Like it sort of demonstrated how level design in Rainbow Six Siege had evolved over the years up until Year 4. And you could see its influence, the influence that philosophy has in every change that they made after Outback to existing maps. So it's interesting that they're going to go back and redo Outback. But I guess there are a couple of areas that could probably use some work. Like there's that area, the restaurant, the Shark Room. That's sort of just dead air, right? Like that's just a bit of wasted space, really.
Yeah. There's not really a lot of cover there either. It's sort of just
exactly
an open area, especially because you can peer over the edge as well towards the bottom staircase.
Yeah,
if I recall.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's it just winds up being a bit of a like, no man's land. Basically. So there's definitely some things they could do for Outback. I'm just surprised anyway.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Bank is there, just still fucking chugging along.
Yachts.
Bank.
Yachts.
No.
I was
Didn't
surprised, right?
Bank is still there in competitive.
Oh, it's still in competitive. No, 100%. But like I was surprised because Favela is getting a redo, and they specifically pointed that this was going to be a casual remake, rework. So it's not going to make it so that it can it's like House, right?
Yeah.
But with the Nakota Nation being from Canada, right? Why wouldn't they redo Yacht? Because that was part of Black Ice, which was the Canadian operators, and it's technically the Canadian location. So, it seems, I don't know, that one makes sense to me. But Favela obviously needs work. But maybe I think my theory is they can't remake Yacht. They like every time they're like, okay, that's it. This year we're gonna remake Yacht. They go into a big meeting room and they have like everyone at Ubisoft Montreal. They like call people off other projects. They're like, no, stop making Assassin's Creed 84. Come and fucking help us redo Yachts. And they go in there and like they buy pizzas and Red Bulls and fucking coffees and order Chinese takeaway. And they're like, we're not leaving this room until we've got a plan for Yachts. And then 6 days later, like cleaner comes in and opens the door, and it's like fucking Lord of the Flies in there, and they got this big whiteboard. It says Yacht, and there's nothing underneath it, and there's just like blood splattered everywhere, and there's like these factions, and some people are like, no, we're gonna get rid of all the fucking useless floors that you can't shoot through, and there's this other group, and they're like, if you do that, I will fucking kill you. That is the heart of Yacht. That's what makes Yacht. And they can't get anything done with it.
Yeah, that's why Michel Ancel left. He was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
I'm finished with this shit. I cannot do another year of the Yacht meeting. So yeah, still no Yacht. Anyway, back to Crimson Heist. So yeah, Argentinian operator. I found this to be a little bit odd. Flores is his name, and he is a thief.
Yeah.
That's his backstory. He's a thief. But Rainbow Six is made up of cops and military personnel, so I found this to be a bit odd.
I mean, he changed. Fucking the Fast and Furious has like Jason Statham. He's like trying to kill everyone at one stage. Now he's part of the team. Like, just fucking go with it. Right? Just go with it.
Okay. Well, I sort of explained it to myself, explained it away by like, oh yeah, okay, so it's I guess he only robs like cartels.
He's like Robin Hood.
Yeah, except it's not the Robin Hood everyone hates. And yeah, that's what I think it is. That's how they've explained it. But he's got the he's got Thatcher's AR-33, or Blackbeard's SR-25, and he has a device called the RCE Rotero, which is a drone that can explode. So it can attach to walls and explode. It sort of locks in. Like when you trigger it, the next surface that it touches, it will attach to, and then it will explode. And I think it's a pretty big deal, to be honest, as far as weapons go, as far as utility goes, because it gives you drone style vision, right? Like normal, but the extra utility of being able to explode this shit. He gets fucking 4 of them. which means he's got effectively 6 fucking drones, which is bananas. The drawback on them is that they only last for 10 seconds. So they will automatically, like wherever the fuck they are, they'll just explode if 10 seconds passes. That's it. Like they call it quits. That's the drawback. And the other thing is they can't go backwards. They've only got one fucking speed, and that is full speed ahead. So if you like park them in a wall and you can't get them out, then that's where they're going to stay. But apart from that, yeah, like they're a pretty big deal. You can shoot them, but once they've engaged their explosive like phase, they're armored and they cannot be destroyed. So yeah, I think that's a big one, right? Like, because I mean, 6 drones in general is huge. There's the threat, you know. I don't think he's going to be that big. Like, I mean, if he keeps all 4, I think he'll get a lot of play in the pro league just because 6 drones is fucking huge. But otherwise, yeah, pro league players don't have a lot of problems shooting drones, but regular games, people miss drones all the time, and if you realize that it might explode on you, there's that panic as well. So yeah, that might ruin people's aim.
Does it do a lot of damage?
Always, yeah. Seamus from Biteside, he was playing, and I think he had 45 health, and he died to one of them. So I think it must be about 50 damage. You can't take out like a reinforced wall, but it can take out basically anything else, which is fantastic. And yeah, you can use it for like, I mean, it gets zapped by electricity. Mozzie, if Mozzie shoots it with his pest, it just kills it, which would be a waste of a pest. You can't take it over though, which is a shame. And yeah, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, it gets mute jammed and then explodes wherever it is. Yeah, it's an interesting setup, right? I just think 4 is too many. I think they should lower it to 3 and it'd be a little bit more balanced. Because 3 is a lot. 2 would be too few, I think. 3 is still a lot. 3 is still 5 total drones. 30 seconds total of extra drone power plus 3 explosives that are quite vulnerable but still quite destructive.
Right.
Yeah. He's an interesting character. Like, yeah, I think he'll get quite a bit of play. Quite a bit more if they leave it at 4, but he's still worth checking out. The other thing they did is there's a load of other changes coming across year 6, but even in season 1, there's stuff happening. First of all, they're getting rid of the season pass, so no longer buy the season pass at the start of the year, the annual pass. I can't work out what the fuck it's called. Whatever it's called, the annual pass. You no longer buy it at the start of the year. Now, if you want the new operators immediately when they get launched, you buy the battle pass, and they're on the first tier of the purchased battle pass.
Right.
Which I think, like, people aren't happy. People were reacting negatively to this, but I think it's a good idea. It's got some drawbacks, 100%. There's definitely some negative elements to it, but generally, like, eliminating 2 different purchase systems is absolutely a good thing. And encouraging people to actually get the bought battle pass is obviously a better idea than, the battle pass that they had. Now there's actually a reason to get the battle pass, as opposed to before. If you didn't care about cosmetics, there's absolutely 0 reason to get it. So that, I think that's good. The drawback is that it was very grindy. If they don't adjust how grindy the battle pass is, then you're going to wind up with a situation, right? People were alleviating that grind using the season pass, because you got you earned faster if you had the season pass. You earn battle pass points faster. Now, if that's not the case, they already found it grindy even with the discount that the season pass offered. If that's not the case, people are going to bounce right off this fucking battle pass, and it's going to be really bad publicity for their new system as well. So they need to adjust that immediately. The other bad thing is if you happen to only check in to Rainbow Six every 6 months and you miss a battle pass season, then the only way to buy those operators is with your Rainbow Six points, which isn't a problem for people like us who have been playing for 6 years and haven't spent our fucking points on anything for 6 years. But it is a problem for people who regularly spend their points, or people who only just started, or anything like that, because they will be stuck only being able to buy those operators. It used to be that, you know, if you wanted it all, you just buy the fucking battle pass, the annual pass, the season pass, and you get it all. That isn't the case anymore, and I haven't seen them say that they'd have some workaround for it. So that's tricky. That's not a good thing. But the other thing they announced in their, you know, roadmap for year 6 is that everything that they're doing this year is they're going for like agility. They want to be really agile and able to undo mistakes quickly and get feedback and implement changes based on feedback fast and stuff like that. So I think if the community finds a problem with something and they're respectful about it, it seems like Ubisoft Montreal are more than happy to make the changes required. So hopefully they will make the adjustments, especially I think to the Battle Pass earn rate. I think that's probably the biggest problem with it. What else? Straight off the bat from year 6 season 1, they're going to allow dead players to continue to play.
Mm-hmm.
That means attackers will be able to drive their drones if they're dead, like if the attackers are dead. And on the defense, Maestro and Echo will be able to use their stuff even if they're dead. So, that's a pretty big deal in my opinion. I think it's a great move, but again, others don't agree. It's something that I've thought should happen for a while. There is tendency in games for people who die to just sort of check out, and then you'll often see them AFK their way through the entire pick phase, all the way sometimes until like seconds into the action phase, in which that's obviously not a good thing. But if they're more engaged, actually, you know, you get in, you drop both your drones, you move them into locations where you can use them after you die, and then you go in, then you can still provide a significant amount of utility to your team while you've died, and you will be paying more attention until the game kicks off again. And so you're actually able to do shooty stuff again, which I think is good. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. We might wind up seeing, my guess is we might wind up seeing them take a drone away from attackers, go back to the one drone, which I think is how we started. That's my guess, because you know, you've got that drone for so much longer now.
Yeah. It's also a weird thing to have, like when a round starts, it'll be the norm to just throw both your drones out on the floor. Like it's a weird thing to do. Like what's the solution there? Do they, if you haven't used your drones, you automatically spawn back as a drone at the spawn location? Like what is the fix there? So that you're not at the start of the match just throwing drones on the floor. Like that, I wonder how they address that situation.
That's a good point. It is something that I think you need to do, because it'd just be a little bit goofy to have everyone stand there and spend the first 3 seconds of every attack phase throwing drones out, right?
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. The other thing, they're not introducing it in Season 1, but they are introducing the attacker repick, which I 100% know for a fact is something I said should exist since our first preview of Rainbow Six Siege. Again, people aren't happy to hear about this, but I think once they see it in action, they'll understand that it is a good thing. The idea is they want to get away from the defender bias that Rainbow Six Siege has. And I think what happens is people don't understand, like players don't understand just how lopsided the game is towards defenders. Mm-hmm. But like it's absolutely biased in defender favor. Defenders get to like dictate way too much of how everything goes down, how every engagement goes down, and what happens once like information denial and stuff. They've got way too many tools in their arsenal. So I think something has had to happen. I don't think attack or repick is going to be that big a deal. Mm-hmm. Like it's going to give players the opportunity to maybe fix some things up if they see that like they get in there and the enemy team has put up all their fucking barricades. Then yeah, maybe bring an extra hard breach. But I don't think we're going to see like, oh yeah, well, such and such. Oh yeah, well they weren't going to bring a Thatcher and now they are because he's the perfect counter to blah blah. First of all, I think they've neutered Thatcher enough that he is not like if he still destroyed everything he Thatch grenaded, then maybe you'd be upset about that, but you'd just bring Thatcher every game anyway. Now, yeah, if they've put really clever fucking mutes in place, then yeah, it's probably a smart idea to do something about it. But
right. So how does that work exactly? How does a repick work?
It'll be like the way they showed it is like when you choose a different spawn location, you can press a different button and choose a different attacker. That's all. You're not spawned in the game yet. They're going to make it so Twitch only has a regular drone in the prep phase.
Yeah.
And she gets both her drones when she goes into the action phase, and that's about it.
Yeah. So is that part of like, are they removing the 6-pick stuff or like?
Yeah. So all of this is deep into the year, and they didn't have answers on what they do with 6-pick yet, or if this would even make it into the competitive scene.
Right.
So all of that's still a bit up in the air. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's interesting. I think they should get rid of 6-pick.
It doesn't work in competitive.
If it's got this. Repick doesn't work?
Well, yeah, because you don't know who you're going up against anyway. Right?
What do you mean?
If the 6-pick is there, you're like hiding. The point of the 6-pick is to hide like one of your picks, right? Like who you're getting. And then I don't know, it just seems weird of having also a repick. It just seems like too many weird, confusing things.
Get rid of the 6-pick. Yeah, you get rid of the 6-pick. For sure. In my opinion. Add repick, get rid of the 6-pick. I'd love to see what pros do with the fucking repick. I think it'd be fucking fascinating. Yeah. What else? I don't think there was anything else that was particularly out there. Playing, it was good fun. Yeah, like just had some fun games. Call of Duty does wild things to the way you fucking move and stuff. I put up a video and my leaning is just so awful because I don't think in terms of leaning anymore. Right? I'm so used to like fucking face checking shit. But I know I can lean, and so there's like this lizard brain part of me that's like, lean, Joab, lean. You got to lean. And then there's this other part of me that is like, how do I lean? And every time you go into we play on the test server, the test server build. Every time you do that, every time you go into the test server, all your keybinds are rebound and stuff. They change like it, and all your keybinds rebound, all your operator loadouts are changed. Like everything's fucking changed every single time. So every time you do it, you've got to go back in and rebind all this shit. And every time I do it, I always find there's one thing that I haven't rebound correctly or something like that, and so I'll never know. Like I couldn't find my fucking ping button this time. Couldn't find out where the fuck it was. It's annoying, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you found the grenade button at least.
I found the fucking win button, baby. Yeah, the video I put up, we got the win. We definitely shouldn't have, but I got it done. It was good. It was good fun. I enjoy that stuff a lot. Very keen to check it out when it hits live. I've got it installed. Seems like there's a lot of interest in like going back into the Rainbow Six Siege. So, yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to hit their 100 operators like at this stage. I remember that being a big thing for the team back then. They've obviously changed leadership over there in that team. So yeah, the goal was always like we'll get one. Like the goal is to get 100 operators in the game. And what are that like around 60 at this point? And they're only doing sort of like one every couple of months at this point, like this stage. Like they were definitely on track to get to 100 by doing 2 every season, but yeah, that doesn't seem like it's going to happen unless like we're talking about Rainbow Six in 10 years time. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, cool. Anything else to add about Rainbow Six Siege?
Nope. I don't think so.
Okay. We can move on to the last game we've got here, Curse of the Dead Gods, which just released yesterday. On PC, at least. I don't think it's on consoles, is it? I haven't heard anything about it.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No, it doesn't look like it. I mean, it's I don't have a date for it at least on consoles or PC. Maybe it is. What's it say? Nintendo Switch. Available now. All right, it's out on consoles as well. Anyway, it is isometric roguelike game, hack and slash actiony. You're playing as like this maybe Indiana Jones sort of type character who enters a temple. You work your way through it by using your melee attack and your secondary attack. You're collecting coins and these like gems, and your goal is to just roguelite it up and get to the end of your run, die, use your points and all your things that you've gotten to level yourself up and go in and try again. I think it's got some really interesting mechanics in there. So the first one is that the character is sort of like his main weapon holds a torch. And you run around with a torch, like a light. It's a stick with fucking, I don't know, it's on fire, basically, like a fire torch, not a flashlight torch. Anything that is inside of your light radius, you're sort of able to see if there are traps on the ground and things that are hidden. And anything outside of that is sort of shrouded in darkness. And there are things within the environment that you're able to set on fire that will illuminate the room and allow you to see your surroundings a bit better. And so when you get into combat situations, if you are outside of a light radius, you take more damage from the things attacking you. And that means that it's not going to work as well for you in the long run because you're taking more damage. So the idea is to sort of stay in the light and make sure that you're not sort of going outside of that area because it's it's not going to work out well. Anyway, I think that's an interesting mechanic. And then you've got your main attack, which is usually like a fist weapon or a sword or something like that. And then a secondary weapon is generally like a ranged attack, a bow, pistol, and then there's a third button, which is like a two-handed attacking, like a melee, heavy weapon, that sort of thing. And that is something you can pick up as well. So you've got sort of like 3 or 4 different attack styles. You've got a dodge button and a parry button. And yeah, that's how the combat sort of works. And then the other thing they've got is this curse mechanic. And
Corruption.
when you get cursed, you take a chunk of curse damage. Sometimes specific enemies can curse you. They'll have abilities that'll do it. Sometimes there's things in the world that will cause you to do it. Like if you want to get health, you'll get cursed. You can pick up items. Sorry, corrupted.
Cursed. Yeah. When you get 100 corruption,
you get cursed. Yeah. And it's like a meter that fills up. And so you can get items within the world and spend gold in order to get better items, or you can sacrifice like your blood, which will fill up your corruption meter higher. And so I think that's a really interesting mechanic. And what happens there is once you reach a threshold, you end up being cursed, and you have a negative. I mean, it's usually a negative effect. Sometimes it's a positive effect, but for the most part, it's like a negative boon, right? And it'll be something. For example, some of the ones that I've seen, you can't use your torch anymore to light things on fire, or like you'll just be in the dark constantly. But now you don't take as much damage in the dark. Like there was one that
you don't take that one. Is it the one where the torch shines a purple light? Is that one you're talking about?
Yeah, and you can't light anything on fire, but you take less damage.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't take less damage. You don't take the dark. You don't have the darkness penalty anymore, and you actually do 20% extra damage in the dark. So that one's actually pretty huge. The torch still lights up traps,
but you got to have the torch out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there's another one that I got, which I thought was really interesting. In order for you to do certain moves like dodge or parry or combo attacks with your weapons, it uses stamina point, and you've got, I think, 5 stamina points to sort of start off with on your character. The one that I saw that I got, which was it removes a stamina point from you, but every time you kill something, you get 2 stamina points back, and so that sort of encourages you to take fights. Like you may have one less, but every time that you start doing big combos and that sort of thing, doing a lot of damage, you'll get that back a lot quicker, which generally fills back up like over time, quite slowly. And it's a resource that you need quite a lot of, because you want to be able to parry or dodge roll out of the way, or hit something with a combo attack, because you'll be able to do more damage. So I think that's all the buttons, right? Dodge, parry, attacks, pretty much, I think.
Dodge, parry.
Yeah. And so you've got, every time you go, it's sort of like a Slay the Spire inspired dungeon system. Every time you go through a new level, you take on, it's like 20 points of corruption, and then you're able to pick where you want to go next. Like, do I want to go and get some gold, or do I want to level up my weapon, or do I want to go get a relic, or do I want to level up my ability points, or do I want to heal? And it's a Slay the Spire inspired sort of map that at the end of the run, there is a big bad boss. And each time you go to a different area in this dungeon, it sort of check marks off places that you no longer can get to. So it's a maze-like structure that is based. Like, I don't know what other games have done it, but the one that I saw, I was like, yeah, that's out of Slay the Spire.
yeah, it's very similar. It's even down to like you'll see like one track, or one path through the temple is like isolated from the rest, and you can't like get to it at all. And that's you see that a lot in Slay the Spire. It's quite similar. Yeah.
And then so in the dungeons, there's traps and different enemies you come up against. There's different types of temples that you can sort of go into that have various bosses in there. I feel like I've covered most of the mechanics. without going deep into like, hey, there's different types of weapons that you can pick up and different abilities that you can sort of get that makes each run a bit more varied. And like, it's that basic roguelike sort of structure where you get more powerful and powerful as you keep going back in and collecting that sort of thing. Art style is really cool. It's got a really neat like lighting system where shadows are sort of like bouncing off the walls and that sort of stuff. Like, I think it looks pretty. I don't know. Like, how are you sort of finding it so far? I've only beaten 2 bosses at this stage, but it seems like you're a little bit further.
Yeah, I've been 4. Once you get through the so it sort of tiers it where you beat. I think you have to beat 2 before you unlock the next.
Yeah, it's like gated.
But I unlocked I beat the bottom 3. Then I went on to beat the second boss in the Jaguar run.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 temples: Jaguar Temple, Eagle Temple, and the Snake Temple. And the Jaguar Temple, I think, is probably the easiest in my opinion. I just found the enemies in there the easiest to sort of get my head around. And the traps in there all sort of make sense to me. But as you go through it, you get more and more of an idea of like how the specific temple that you're in dictates the sort of game that you're going to have.
Yeah,
which I think is good. I think it's a good system. I've beat the second Jaguar boss. When you do that, you have to beat the first one again. So you have to you can't even get to the second boss without facing the first.
So
one.
It's a continuous run. You've got to go beat the first boss and then go to keep going through.
Yeah. I enjoy it, but I do have some gripes. I don't like. Yeah, we were talking. I mentioned this earlier, but I don't like how much wasted time there is. It feels like a game where you should be able to like, okay, I died. Yeah, I know how I died. Let's go into the next one. But like very often, it's you've got that drawn out animation when you go back to the main temple area where it's like, oh yeah, he's being reborn or whatever. I find that annoying. The same goes for when he opens the fucking door or when he buys a new altar, like weapon altar or anything like that. There's a lot of fucking locked in animations that you just can't skip that I really wish didn't exist at all, because it fucking ruins the pace of jumping in for another go. Like the amount of times, like it only came out yesterday, and I'd do a run and I'd be like, okay, I know what I did wrong. I'm going to go in again. And I'd be like, you know what? Fuck this. Like I'd just be locked in waiting for some dumb fucking animation to finish. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. The other thing that spoils it in that situation is the fact that save and quit doesn't actually quit the game. It takes you back to the menu, which, why? What the fuck am I doing on the menu? Just fucking take me out of the fucking game.
Maybe you want to go read patch notes.
Yeah, finally. Good. So yeah, there's lots of little annoyances. There's no full screen windowed mode, which I don't like. There's like bugger all options really. I found that to be quite underwhelming. You have to fully exit the game to change your resolution. I turned off the screen shake mechanic because it was throwing me off, and I literally beat I went through, I think I made it to like the 4th room, turned off the screen shake mechanic, and then I immediately beat the fucking boss on the next run.
I haven't noticed it.
I just find it so off-putting. It shakes when like certain things happen. I think it's like parries or if you get hit, and it's very disruptive to the gameplay style because it's a game where like you have to pay very, very close attention to what's going on. I find that it's not like there's clearly some kind of poise system in it, right? People say like people have compared it in the reviews and stuff to like Dark Souls and stuff. And I actually normally when people do that, it's like, yeah, good one, dickwads. You clearly never played Dark Souls, but it actually makes a bit of sense in this case. There is clearly
there's tells.
There's an attempt to fold that style of combat in. I do have a few issues with the implementation in the sense that I don't think, I think you should be able to interrupt enemies, and you just can't. It just doesn't happen. You can stun them, but you can't interrupt them, and I don't like that. So you wind up in these situations, especially which one? I think it must have been the Temple of the Snake. The Temple of the Snake. No, Temple of the Eagle. Temple of the Eagle has these enemies that have fuck all wind up on their attacks. They're very easy to kill, but you'll wind up facing fucking tons of them. And if you don't have a weapon in hand that does area of effect, if you've only got a single target weapon, or two single target weapons, you wind up in you're basically fucked on that one because you can barely see their attacks. You can't really see the fucking wind up. So you got to really, really pay like specific attention to the fucking 8 fucking flying dickwads on your screen. But at the same time, you're also trying to do combat, and it's very difficult to parry all these motherfuckers. Because there is like a GCD on when you can parry, but there isn't. They don't attack on ticks. If this makes sense, right?
Sure.
Like, so you have a GCD, you have a global cooldown on your parry, so you can't just hammer parry and infinitely parry until you run out of stamina or whatever. But so when you parry, there is like a half-second delay before you can actually successfully parry again. But in that 0.5 of a second, enemies are able to attack. And so if you parry one enemy, it is possible for another enemy to attack you in that same amount in that window before you're actually able to pull it off again, which I do not like. It is something that you like that happens in Dark Souls, right? But in Dark Souls, you've got a lot more information in that you're closer to the action and you're able to see what's happening a lot more. Like, obviously, you're tied to watching in one direction, so anything attacking you from behind is less able to be seen. But nevertheless, like the broader point is that you have that vision, you have that information available to you if you are playing in a way that makes sure that you're able to get that information. In this, because of the drawn back camera and because of the size of the enemies, it's very difficult to tell. So you want, and the amount of them, you wind up in these situations where your best bet is to just fucking roll. Like you roll from everything. And I think like that teaches bad habits because bosses you need to parry. So you should be like learning to parry a lot. But like, because like rolling costs you stamina, hitting a perfect parry gives you stamina, and parrying and like getting your parries off is one of the fucking best ways to get your stamina back in those fights where you don't have time to fucking stop attacking, where you're constantly attacking. You just hit a parry and you get some stamina back, and you can continue to fucking build it back.
Damage as well.
Yeah, exactly. And half the time you'll stun something and stuff like that. Like, there's lots and lots of reasons you should be parrying, and the game has a tendency to teach you to not parry, which I think is a mistake. It's
I was
not
doing
like
that
Dark Souls where what were you? Yeah,
I wasn't using parry at all. I was rolling until my third run, and I was like, maybe I should learn to parry. And then I beat 2 straight bosses. I was like, all right, cool. That's what I should be doing.
Right? Like that is a mistake on behalf of the game. Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of kiting. So you wind up in a situation where you're learning bad habits, and it distracts from what the game does really well.
another thing the game does poorly is the grind, man. Holy fuck! Like, first of all, none of those blessings, even the ones that are locked, seem worth the blue skulls that you get at the rate that you get them. Like, you don't earn them fast enough to be pissing them away on fucking like some fucking, I don't know. I think the only one that I thought was any like at all worthwhile was 1,000 fucking gold. The 1,000 gold at the start one, and the rest of them all seem like, why would you spend money on this? I don't understand. Or spend skulls on this, because it's not like the blessings aren't the only thing that require gold. Require skulls. The tables, the weapon tables, also require skulls, and upgrading them requires skulls, and they require so fucking
50.
many. Like,
I've been putting my skulls into the upgrade for that table because it's like, you get a better rarity, I guess, or higher chance of rarity. So I was like, well, if I can take a better weapon in, I'll do that, as opposed to spending it on like fucking like being able to re-roll the weapon on the table.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's just not like, I don't think the economy of the game is
it's not
necessarily well done, because there's absolutely no reason why you should be buying some of these things, right? Like, it's just bananas to me. And fucking fire illuminates further or some shit, and you're like, you're talking before about the curses. In my second run, I played to get curses. I didn't want all the curses. I haven't. I have gotten the 5th curse, and do not get the 5th curse. But that one in particular, the one where you can't light anything anymore. It's fucking phenomenal, man. That is a game winner. 20% extra damage while you're in the dark, and you can't fucking light things up anymore? Perfect. Please give it to me. As soon as I enter a room with enemies, I put the fucking torch away, and that's it. Like, that their mistake is thinking that they have the advantage in the dark, but no fucking chance. I fucking rip them up. I've gotten because you get these boons and stuff along the way, these artifacts. I had like on the run where I beat the second boss, I had like 2 artifacts that gave me bonuses for fighting in the dark. Plus like a bunch of other damage buffs and stuff like that. But if they were in the dark, I was like 2-shotting. Every single enemy died in 2 shots. Most of them died in 1 shot. Like, I was just fucking ripping them up. That's just out of control. Like, I love that the curses are a clear drawback, and yet at the same time, there are some that you're like, oh yeah, I want that. I want that again. Please give me that curse. And the second boss also had this mechanic where he would like change between dark and light. And when he was in the light, that fight was going to take about 45 minutes. And then as soon as I went to dark, it took about 4, I think. Like, he just started melting. It's very, I didn't like it, but I came to love it. The timing, I still think it might be a little bit, the window for it might be a little bit off or something. I'm not sure, but the timing on comboing your weapons, there's definitely, again, to go back to GCD talk, there's a global cooldown on when an input can be registered. And I think that's not helpful, because when you think about combos, generally you think about if you're to do a fatality in Mortal Kombat, the idea is to do a fucking combo. Input those buttons as fast as you fucking can. Like, obviously, there's always a rhythm with that shit, but the rhythm is very quick. And if you do it too slow, if you were to do it at the pace that Curse of the Dead Gods allows inputs, you would fail your fatalities every fucking time. It's too slow, in my opinion, and I find that kind of annoying. Still, I love, like, once you get used to it, once you get the timing down, you wind up in these situations where you are just like belting, and it feels really cool to know how to like best put those combos together. You roll in and you're like, okay, this guy I'm gonna hit with a primary weapon combo. There's lots of those flying fucks around, so I'm gonna have to like pop my secondary, because my secondary is a whip and it does this big circle attack, and that's going to be perfect for knocking back these dudes with their really short, almost invisible wind up attack. Like, that's going to be perfect. I get heavy weapons, like I acquire them and I wander around with them, and I have used them about 3 times. I don't know. I never fucking use them. I don't really understand how they fold into the gameplay, and the fact that I've beaten the second tier boss and not used them at all, like, concerns me, because either I'm going to have to learn how to use them, and it's going to be like super late in the piece for me to be learning that shit, or they're completely inconsequential, in which case, what's the point?
So the game, you're spending these, I don't even know what they are, but you're spending these fucking rubies on unlocking different weapons in the game, right? And that's what you sort of pick up on the table as you go through your run. But the one that I've seen the most in the heavy weapon department is this two-handed mallet or giant hammer that it does lightning damage, and anything that you set on lightning, I guess, because they catch anything that's electrified took like 20% extra damage or something for 6 seconds. And so what I would do is if it was a bigger boss that would take a bit of damage, you hit them with the mallet, they're electrified, and then you hit them with your normal attacks. And I saw that weapon, I think, twice out of like the 4 runs that I've done so far. The other thing that I noticed is there are hidden areas in the game that you can use your heavy attack with. So I don't know what else that is sort of there, but there's definitely places to use that heavy weapon. It's not always a hammer. I did get a bow during one of my runs that was on the B. I don't know, whatever the button is. It's B that I'm using. So
that's heavy,
yeah. I think they're just two-handed weapons, so it was a bow. I don't know. I'd rather the mallet, the giant hammer with the lightning damage. So maybe it'll come into it later on once you start unlocking that as a thing to use, because you can then combo those elemental effects, and sometimes you get the boons that are like, hey, if you've got something that's doing poison damage, then you do extra 30% poison damage if you're doing that. And so being able to chain that sort of thing, like hitting someone with the electric attack and then smashing them with poison as well, like they'll just take so much damage. But it's about finding it, I guess.
It's like you buy the weapons as well with the green rings, and I don't understand that system at all.
It's weird. It's sort of like you look at a game. Like what else has done that?
Dead Cells is what I thought it was supposed to be like, but
I'm thinking of Dead Cells, but at the same time, Dead Cells is more like you found the weapon out in the world as like a blueprint, and then you buy it and then you bring it back. Whereas here, it's just like you just unlock it, like you just buy it off the bat, or you unlock it so it could appear on the table. But the thing is, they present it really badly. It's like, here's 4 pages of weapons. Pick what you want. And you're like, well, I don't know what any of this shit does. Like,
Oh yeah,
I literally just started the game. Like, what am I getting here? So I think that is done a bit strangely. Like, if there was some way for you to get the weapon first to test it, and then it sort of unlocked it, I don't know. It's otherwise you're just chucking money into random stuff to unlock. That's what I'm doing. I'm going in order at this point.
Yeah.
Like I just started at one, working my way through.
Which isn't good, right? Like, yeah, you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. I don't know. Yeah. If I know it just left early access, so technically, like theoretically, it will not get any of what I'm about to say. But if they were to get rid of those fucking annoying animations that are bugging the shit out of me, and if they were to make it a little bit clearer when certain enemies were going to attack, I can see myself playing a fucking ton of this. But as it stands right now, as it is existing in its current state, I am annoyed that I've played 3.7 hours of it because it means I can't Steam refund it. I would probably Steam refund this.
Really?
In its current state, yeah. I'm not loving it.
I'm at 112 minutes.
It's just making me think, well, yeah, like I finished the second boss. I'm like, all right. So that's it. That's what I do then, right? Like, I beat the second boss on my first fucking, like the first time I got to it. Like the second tier boss. I mean, the second Jaguar Temple boss. Like, yeah, it just at the same time feels too easy and also too obtuse.
Right.
Like it's difficult to work out why I'm doing what I'm doing or what's going on, and yet the doing of it is mechanically simple, if that makes sense, and that annoys me. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just not loving it, and yeah, I feel like it needs a bit more work. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I'm enjoying it, but I don't like to compare the two games. But obviously, Hades is, like the benchmark, right, of these style types of games, and it's sort of just unfortunate that they've come out a couple of months too late. Because everybody seems to be comparing it to that game, and the minute that happens, it's going to be a tough job to live up to a game like that. Because I think it does some interesting stuff, some interesting mechanics. I just don't know if it's as sharp, as responsive as the combat that we've seen in Hades. But I still think it does some neat things.
I think combat wise, it's far closer to Dead Cells than Hades. So in that regard, like that might be why I'm having an easier time with it. Because I sort of get it a bit more, but yeah, I cannot stop mentally comparing it to Hades, and Hades gave you a reason to go again. You know, Hades gave you a reason to go through the run each time, and I don't feel like I'm getting that reason out of Curse of the Dead Gods. There's what little story there is doesn't really get delivered via successful runs. Yeah.
All right. The other thing I want to bring up quickly is, have you tried any of the events that they have running? They seem to be like daily quests or daily missions that you can run once. Have you tried any of them?
Yeah, I did one yesterday. I got to the final boss and I got blapped. It was an interesting one. You run from your nightmares, and it basically gives you a curse from the get-go. It's the curse of hallucinations, where basically you don't have a HUD, and it's always this film grainy black and white style play, and yeah, you don't know your health, you don't know how much corruption you've got, you don't know any of these things, and you don't get to pick your path. And I thought that was actually pretty good fun. That was a interesting way to play the game.
That is the one that I did. I wonder if these are global events.
Yeah, I think they might be. Did you win?
I did, yeah.
Oh, I died on the boss. It was the Jaguar one too. I have no idea how close I got him, but he had to be on a bee's dick, and I whiffed a roll. I like rolled millimeters too short and didn't make it out. So yeah.
Yeah, I found he's pretty easy to, like, once I got to him the second time, I was like, oh, okay, just kill his ads. That's all you need to do.
Kill the ads.
You can't do anything.
They die, right? Like they
you kill them before they
attack. Vulnerable. Yeah, exactly. For so long. Yeah. That's actually how he got me. Was I was killing one of his ads, and for the first time, he had his attack lined up, like basically straight away. And so I rolled away, and it's got like a range, and maybe the range on the attack. I never thought about this. Maybe the range on the attack is the entire fucking distance, but it looked to me like it stopped before the wall. Maybe that's just like a quirk of the visuals. But yeah, it looked like it stopped, and I thought I was out of range, but he got me with it anyway, and I died. Like, he must have been fucking done. He must have been basically dead. So gutted.
Yeah.
Oh. Ah, well.
All right. Yeah. All right. That's called Curse of the Dead Gods. It's out of early access now, so it's 1.0. It's on Steam at this stage, and also consoles. On Steam, it's on sale, 10% off. So if that sounds like something you're in for, check it out. It's $20 US. And it's out on, I guess, digital on consoles. I don't know how it plays there, but I'm using controller. I think that's probably the preferred way to play
100% use controller. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll keep playing through. I'm having fun with it. It seems like like the runs, I think I'm doing runs in like 10 minutes, getting to a boss and finishing at this stage. So they're pretty quick to get through. So we'll see how we go. I'll keep talking about next week. All right. That's it. We do some news. What do we got? There's a bunch here.
Yeah.
Let's kick off with BlizzConline. BlizzConline, as they called it. So this is the delayed BlizzCon event, which is supposed to be held the end of last year. They moved it to online because of their pandemic. And we got a bunch of announcements. I think overall, a bit of a letdown. Definitely not as big as the year before. The one that I went to, where they were like fucking
the year before. Yep.
New what do you call it? I don't know. Multiplayer fucking update for new expansion for Warcraft, and here's Diablo 4 off the bat, and by the way, Overwatch 2, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? This year was a lot more tamer.
A lot tamer, yeah. They can't have known, but I still think they jumped the gun announcing Overwatch 2 when they did.
I think they were just trying to do it for fucking, like, because of all the shit was happening around them at that time. Like, they wanted the good grace back. Being like, we're a bit of a shit company right now, but look at all this crap we've got cooking. Anyway, so they kicked off, I guess, by announcing a bunch of new things. We've talked about the Hearthstone stuff, Mercenaries, new hero builder mode coming to it. We got the Burning Crusade Classic Edition coming to World of Warcraft, which, I mean, that was the next logical step for that. It seems like it's pretty successful. They talked about some new ways that you're going to be using that Classic Edition going forward, and it obviously seems like they're going to keep going. Like, we'll see Wrath of the Lich King next and all that sort of stuff, to the point where like in 10 years time it'll be all the updates we're playing at the moment. It just seems like it's going to keep going at this point because
it does.
That's so successful. We got the Blizzard Arcade Collection, which is strange because none of these games were released on arcade, but there you go. We got the Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn. From what I've heard, they're pretty good bundle, I guess. It seems to play really well. A lot of these games, a lot of good fun. I played a bunch of these on consoles, which I think is primarily where these ports or remasters or remakes are coming from, is the console editions. Played a bunch of Lost Vikings and Rock and Roll Racing. Blackthorn, I don't even know what that looks like. I don't remember that game at all. I don't think I played that game.
No, I didn't.
Nintendo game, yeah. So that's cool. Next up, we got some Overwatch 2 news, which they didn't even talk about during the actual conference. But one thing that I saw coming out of that is they've taken a bunch of feedback from the hero missions in the game, and basically they're allowing like all these different types of like modifiers into the missions that they're talking about like hundreds and hundreds of different missions that you'll be able to go in and be able to play them, and they'll have different enemies or objectives or the maps that they're in that they're doing. It sort of sounds like a game director system or something like that, which I don't know, like that sounds promising because the stuff that I saw was definitely interesting to play. It reminds me of like a Left 4 Dead style game, or those like cooperative fighting AI, because I got a chance to play that last year. And the one thing that I kind of came away from that being like, oh, is this just going to be like, where is the replayability going to be here? If you're talking about like, hey, this is Overwatch 2, but we're putting a lot of this single player stuff in, not single player, but like narrative driven, PvE content. Like, how does that work? And it seems like they've gone and thought about it a bit more. And so whether or not that comes out working as intended, but it seems like an interesting idea, at least, I think. Any thoughts?
Yep. No, like I have zero interest in playing Overwatch 2 PvP. Because I burned out on Overwatch almost before it actually came out.
Yeah.
But I do love me some goofy
PvE
horde mode stuff, and I remember you talking it up last year, and like back then I think I was resolved to I'll play Overwatch 2 PvE in co-op with you guys, and I remain the same. All I got out of this was it sounds like they're making it even better, and B, good lord, I cannot believe it's not coming out this year. Because holy shit, man. Like that, it's been a long time between drinks for people who are still playing fucking Overwatch 1. I'll tell you what, like that's bananas to me.
They really did screw that up, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like they didn't even talk about it during the main briefing. They went straight over the top of it. Exactly. This has all come from like behind the scenes panels and things like that they did during the day or the 2 days, which was like it was free. Generally, that sort of stuff you can't watch unless you're paid for it, or you're at BlizzCon. That's how they make their money. But this year it was all free, which is good. But it was still strange for them to come out and be like, we're not even talking about it. Like, so weird. Anyway, what else did we get? Diablo 2 Resurrected. This was bad kept secret. We knew this was coming. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when the team behind Tony Hawk's Pro Skater are working on this. And they showed it off. Obviously, it's getting a big HD update. They're talking about cross progression across the different devices that you're able to play on. I looked into some of the panels they did. There's like quality of life things that are going on there now, allowing you to compare items better. But for the most part, it's the same base game, and they've built all this stuff over the top of it because it's running that base game in the background. So they've had to figure out ways how do we get this game that runs at 25 frames per second and like all the combat works off that 25 frames per second across to modern days where you've got fast refresh rates and how do you make it still work properly. So it seems like they're spending, I don't know, like more resources and more time on this game compared to what they did with the Warcraft stuff. I'm still going to be a bit hesitant about all that sort of thing. I guess we'll wait and see.
Skeptical.
But does this get you excited at all, or like are you sort of in the camp of we've got Diablo 3 and that is probably the better game anyway at this point if you want to go and play?
I think they turned Diablo 3 into a better game eventually. But you have no idea how much fucking Diablo 2 I've played.
I did, yeah, as well.
Yeah. So fucking much of this game. So I'm probably going to go in just for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah.
And have a look. I'm cautiously optimistic at this point. Because I don't think they can afford to screw this pooch. Yeah. It's like they've got a Diablo 4 coming out. I do not think they can afford to fuck this one up because people will. There's a trend, a tendency to hate on Blizzard, and people will use this as an excuse if they can. So I don't think they can get away with it. It's too dangerous. Yep.
Absolutely. And then they did some Diablo 4 stuff. The new character class, the Rogue Reveal, which is a classic character from the original games. I'm digging all this stuff. Like every one of these characters they showed off, I'm like, I'm going to play that one. I'm going to play that one. I'm going to play that one. Like I watched the panel that they did on Diablo, I guess, straight after that. And that game just looks sick, man. The things they're talking about, like the way that you can dismount from your mounts and like attack at the same time, and they do these like sick animations, being able to infuse different types of abilities that you've got, like your spells with like poison attacks. Like you've got the same. You've got an ability that you can use, but now it's like a frost ability, or now I'm going to infuse it with poison, and now it's doing the same sort of ability, but with poison damage. And like, it's taking that idea of like, I'm thinking of Path of Exile for some reason. Is it Path of Exile I'm thinking of? I think it is Path of Exile, because that's a Diablo clone, right?
So,
it takes those sort of ideas of being able to modify your spells, and it's doing like they're doing the same sort of thing here. They tinkered with a bunch of that in Diablo 3, but this seems like it's going full in that direction. I don't know if they've changed it much since I played it last year, but that being able to grab gems and like socket them into different abilities and like modify how spells work and that sort of thing was that's what I think is going to be really interesting in terms of the gameplay and like how that is going to affect like you and me running into a game with the same character, which I think we might have done when we first played it. Because I think we were both maybe wizards.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But like that's kind of, I don't know.
You're a wizard, Luke.
It's not as exciting, right? When you and I both run into a co-op game and we're both playing as wizards and we're both doing pretty much the same spells. There's obviously a couple of different spells you can choose, but for the most part, they're the same. Whereas here now we can play like the same character classes, but have different abilities and they're doing different, like you're doing lightning, electrical damage, and I'm doing poison damage or something like that. Right? Or fire damage, and it changes the way your spells work. Like I think that stuff is really interesting, and then that'll tie across to PvP and how all that works. And like, yeah, man, I'm super pumped for the things I've seen from this so far.
Yeah, like I'm excited too. I found the Rogue reveal video to be actually kind of dull, but they got me more hyped as the weekend went on. So I think they did a good job with that stuff. I'm staggered that this also isn't making it out this year.
Yeah.
What do they got coming out this year? Arcade Collection.
Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I mean, the weird thing is they wrapped this thing up and we're like, by the way, we got a lot more cooking. Like, we have so much cooking. You just don't know about it yet. And you're like, all right, well, fair enough.
All right, if you say so.
Okay. Like what?
Yeah. Wouldn't this be the time to tell us? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or something, but yeah, I guess like they showed some stuff kind of lackluster. But it's been a weird 12 months, so that's not really unsurprising. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's carry any other thoughts about BlizzCon at all?
No.
All right. Next up, we've got this is a weird story. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is delayed indefinitely as the developer has been replaced. We talked about this last year in August when the lead writer, Brian Mitsoda, was fired alongside with the creative director, Kai Clooney. And then a week later, they delayed that game to 2021. I went back and listened to the discussion that we had around then, and then also during the Game of the Year podcast, and we were just extremely confused about what was going on here. It seemed like a weird creative. I think we were talking about either this was a creative decision that they were not getting along with the publisher, or like something was fucking wrong, like with that game. But the thing is, and this is something Nate was talking about, like he was like, that game looks really interesting and cool. Like all the game footage we've seen looks really interesting and cool, but we're in a world now where we're post Cyberpunk. Like maybe shit is broken in that game, or like I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on like what is possibly going on here?
Like I honestly don't know. I can't, like, the game can't be so broken that they would take this drastic a move without, I think there has to be some sort of almost criminal level negligence going on. There must be something going on here, like, yeah, because this is such a heavy-handed move for them to take, that it just doesn't make sense to me. I think when it comes out, when it all boils out, this is gonna be one hell of a story. But I just don't. Yeah, I can't fucking fathom what it could be at this point, because it's huge. And yeah, Brian Masoda and Kai Clooney have been pretty quiet on it, so I just don't know.
This was a game that was supposed to release in 2019. It was pushed back to March 2020, delayed again in August. And now we're at the point where the developer has been removed from the project. They're bringing someone else in to finish it. They haven't said who, which was kind of weird because you'd think we'd get an idea of who is now working on this, but they didn't say anything at this point. So like what state that game is in is so bizarre. Like you don't hear about this stuff happening at all, really. It's very weird. I guess we'll find out more when someone decides to speak, but at this point, no one's saying a thing. So we'll see what happens. Next up, we've got EA has cancelled Anthem NEXT, which was a redesign of the game that started over a year ago. I know you're pretty disappointed about this. This was your game of the year back in the day. It's I remember you saying that it was your favorite game ever. That you loved BioWare. What they're doing. I remember this preview event you went to. You said this is the next best thing. You said, watch out, PUBG, Anthem is coming.
It does sound like me. As Johnny Bravo was saying in our Discord, not that surprising ever since they cut to them during EA Play at E3 in the crowd without getting them up on stage and asked them how development was going, and they were like, yeah, still going, wink. You're like, oh yeah, well, that one's dead. But yeah, still, I don't know. As I said in my preview, however long ago, there was potential in Anthem.
Hmm.
It just needed more content than what it had. There was they had some really cool ideas. There was some really cool stuff going on in they sort of tweaked the triangle, the classic RPG triangle, in a way that I thought was pretty interesting. And like the way you comboed elements between different players to ramp up your damage and stuff. I just never had the content to make doing any of that worth focusing on and stuff. It's not surprising it went this way. I am actually disappointed. I would have loved to see what they'd been working on all this time, and it's a shame that we're just never going to get to see what they did with it. I would be annoyed if I'd paid for Anthem.
I didn't.
No, neither did I. But I could see being annoyed if you'd paid for it.
Yeah,
because there was
a promise.
A promise that they were going to try to do something with it. So this is a shame.
And that's the thing, right? Is that I think they've broken the relationship between the player and that studio. BioWare has not. They've struggled the last couple of games they put out between Anthem, Mass Effect Andromeda. I liked Dragon Age Inquisition, but they've had a rough couple of games, and they're on a point now where I think they need to put something back out that'll be like a banging game, that'll show like the caliber of stuff that they can make. And they're saying that this team has been moved on to, so the Anthem NEXT team has been moved on to Dragon Age 4 and this next Mass Effect game, which I guess we'll wait and have to see. I feel like Dragon Age is further along than Mass Effect. They revealed that a while back, like 2017 or 2018 at this stage. So we'll probably see what they're cooking up quite soon. But I did you see this thing I posted in the chat before that like Henry Cavill might be working on a Mass Effect game? I don't know.
I did. Which man.
He's working on something Mass Effect, or he's trolling.
Yeah. I'm interested to find out more. If he was, he would be a fucking amazing Commander Shepard. He'd be fucking phenomenal. How good would that be? Yeah, I'd be well in.
He basically posted a picture from his Instagram account about him working on a new secret project with what's possibly a script or something in his hand, and it was blurred, but people went and unblurred it using some AI tools and had a bunch of Mass Effect stuff on there. Whoops.
Gold. Gold.
So either it could be a game or it could be a series or something. I guess we'll wait and see. We know he's a big gamer, so maybe he's gone, or they've gone after him for a video game role. I mean, we saw the stuff that happened with, like, I don't know, Keanu Reeves, right, in Cyberpunk, and how that just sort of fucking shot him off. It wouldn't be surprising if Henry Cavill is sort of thinking along the same thing.
Yep.
Anyway, there you go. EA Anthem.
Speaking of
Cyberpunk, what about it?
We didn't have it listed in the news, but Cyberpunk Game tweeted, while we dearly wanted to deliver patch 1.2 for Cyberpunk 2077 in the time span we detailed previously, the recent cyber attack on the studio's IT infrastructure and extensive scope of the update mean this unfortunately will not happen. We'll need some additional time. I literally called that this is what they were going to do. Absolutely called that this was what they were going to do. Anyway, so
I saw some stuff on this yesterday or today. I can't remember when I read it. That employees have been asked to like, basically there's a chance that like personal details for like passport numbers and things like that are being taken. employees haven't been able to work for 2 weeks because they've had to ship all their PCs back to the main office to get rebuilt and search for malware.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit fucked over there right now. So they're struggling. Anyway, let's move on to some PlayStation news. We've got a new
before we go on, I've seen in our Discord in the Game Spoilers chat, there's a load of Cyberpunk chat, and I really want to join in, but I don't want to. I wanted to wait for 1.2 to come out before I fucking finish this game, because I was under the impression this was going to be the one that wasn't going to turn it into a good game, but it was at least going to fix my major issues with it. But evidently, not yet.
Yeah. Oh, you have to wait till next month.
Sure. Wink.
Yeah, so some PlayStation news. We got a new PlayStation VR is coming for the PlayStation 5. This was an article on the PlayStation blog over the last week. I guess the biggest sort of information we got out of this thing was that it's only going to have one cable, and that they're still supporting VR. I kind of felt like they were backing off from that a little bit, but it seems like they're going in again for it, because there was some good stuff that they got out of that last VR kit. I guess for me, the surprising thing that we didn't hear about was the Resident Evil game wasn't getting a VR section, unless that's still something that is going to pop up, because that was great from what I've seen. But yeah, I guess there's not a whole lot of information that they sort of talked about here, other than the fact that they're working on it and they're developing a new system. This seems like the thing of like, let's get this out here now because we're sending maybe dev kits out soon and we don't want it to be leaked. So we'll just tell people it's coming. It's going out there. Any thoughts on this?
No, I'm interested to see how it goes. Single cord. It's interesting they're not going fully cordless, but yeah, interesting nonetheless. I think it'll be something I'm very keen to jump in when it does, see how it plays out. But
right,
yeah,
they said they're taking some of the technology from the DualSense, new DualSense controllers, and putting that in the VR controllers.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We're gonna see like feedback on the triggers or some shit.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be interesting. That'd be cool. I like it.
Yeah. And it's also an entry-level solution for VR, right? It's probably one of the cheaper ways to get in.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, ignoring the $8,000 you need to spend to buy a grey market PlayStation 5, it's probably one of the cheapest ways to get in.
Or an $8,000 Apple VR, as rumored. You can go for this. You heard about this? That Apple is getting into VR, and apparently it is ridiculous expensive, as Apple does. Yeah,
I'm shocked.
All right.
The M1 chip would probably allow them to make a really fucking good self-contained VR system. Like, that chip is fucking bananas. It's good shit. Like, yeah, Intel and AMD both need to fucking catch up to that shit. Anyway.
Yeah. And the last piece of news that I just jotted in here, because I thought I might as well mention it, the first PlayStation State of Play is happening tomorrow. That is for this year. We got a little bit of early news about this from Jim Ryan, the CEO of PlayStation. Basically, Gran Turismo has been moved out of 2021 across to 2022. They stated due to COVID-related incidents or issues. But they also talked about the quotes that I saw was they felt pretty good about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which we talked about last week. It's coming in a few months. And the other game is Horizon Forbidden West, which they're saying is towards the end of this year. The thing that they didn't mention was anything about Ragnarok, the next God of War game that is due for this year as well. So we don't know anything about that yet.
Didn't we guess that was the one that was going to get pushed? I'm pretty sure that's the one we guessed was going to get pushed.
Yeah. I'm not sure at this stage. Maybe they just surprise us and they're both out. Like, I don't know.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Maybe Ragnarok is a
Good.
March game, and they're like, "Fuck it, it's out." Bam. That'd be wild. Because for me, I just don't see I don't see them doing Ratchet and Clank in June, July, Horizon Forbidden West in where would you put that? Like October,
Holiday.
November?
November, yeah.
And then where do you chuck God of War then? Unless it's a March game.
It's next year.
You think they
March
push it?
next year. 100%.
Yeah.
What else? What do you reckon we're going to see?
I mean, the only thing I'm still hanging out for is what's going on with From Software. Like every time they show a fucking PlayStation thing, I'm like, where is From Software?
We're going to see a brand new logo for Elden Ring. I can't wait.
Oh no, the next game. Their next game.
Oh yeah,
talking about Elden Ring.
Straight past. Yeah, okay.
Are they working on 3 games at this stage? We have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, 2 undetailed games and Elden Ring. Yes. Armored Core. Oh my god, what if they come out? You see the From logo, right? It comes up From Software. Everyone fucking loses their shit. It's got the fucking orchestral score and then fucking a robot lands and it's like, Armored Core 7. And you're like, fuck. No, stop it. Fuck,
it's the HD remaster.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's got to be soon, right? Maybe that's a surprise drop. Maybe they're like Elden Ring, March. I don't know, man. I just want someone to drop a fucking games out next month.
You just want a surprise game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see internet lose their shit. What about you? Any thoughts?
No, that was From Software is the only thing I'm super hoping to see. So we probably won't see it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to think anything else. No, not really. Oh, I'm excited to see what they've got up their sleeve. Hopefully some big surprises.
Spider-Man?
No, I think that's too early.
Okay.
You'd think they'd
What's the new one called?
New what? Spider-Man?
Yeah, the movie. They announced the actual title, didn't they?
Yeah.
Home and Away.
No Way Home.
No Way Home, right.
It's because there have been so many fucking fake ones over the last 20... Not fake ones, but pretend ones.
Hold me in your arms, don't let me go. I want to stay forever.
That'll be the 4th film. Yeah. All right.
Sweet.
That's the news. Question time.
Questions. Alrighty. You can ask us questions in our Discord via the Discord channel that says questions. When you ask us questions, you must include a question mark. It has to be a question. Nice Nico writes, Dear The Gap, Joab mentioned legally emulating in the... He put air quotes around legally. Emulating the abandoned GoldenEye remake the other week. And it got me thinking, do you guys legally, did it again, emulate much? I legally emulate my favorite games from my childhood all the time, particularly the Paper Mario series. I've long ago ditched my N64 and GameCube, so I emulate them. They still hold up great. So any favorites that you legally emulate? Thanks, Nick. Do you use emulators a lot, Luke? Doesn't seem like your speed.
I have, yes. The last one that I used was the Super NES Mini or Classic Edition. That was an emulator, right?
Oh my god!
Basically,
yeah. So you paid for an emulator.
I paid for an emulator. Yeah.
So he is doing the legal end. He's actually no air quotes legally emulating
legally.
Games.
That's what I'm doing.
Do you use any emulators in the more traditional sense, where you download ROMs and stuff?
Oh no, not
a
long time, like 13 years or something like that.
I have been doing Emu VR again. Emu VR, I guess it would be, which is that thing I showcased a couple of months back, where it creates a wrapper for the RetroArch emulator system, and then you can play games using like your VR headset, and it puts you in like a room, and you sort of sit in this room and play on like an old school TV. And I've been doing that a fair bit. My wife has emulated the Paper Mario games because she absolutely fucking loves those. So I've set it up so that she can do that. Yeah. And most recently, I was trying to find a way to play Breath of the Wild on the Wii U emulator, the CMU, but setting that thing up is a fucking ball ache. Holy shit. It is. There's steps on steps on steps on steps. And so I just gave up. But no, I'm a huge fan of emulation. Yeah. I think it's fantastic that we're able to go back and visit the games of the past in an easy manner. I assume Nico is using Dolphin emulator because it's fucking phenomenal. It might be the best emulator of all time. But I am probably going to go and grab Twin Snakes to play that on the Dolphin emulator pretty soon because I haven't played that in forever and I'm very keen to revisit it. But yeah, that's emulators fucking amazing. I love them. Emulating games, phenomenal. You probably even emulate Lost Vikings and Rock and Roll Racing. Genius. Yep. You very easily do it. That's all that Blizzard's doing is emulating those old games. Good stuff. Good question, Nico. Awesome. Johnny Bravo writes, "Hey gents, what's a good mobile game to play on the toilet? I need something that I can jump into and play from 10 to 30-ish minutes. What the 10? Depending on my current diet and if I want to go back to my desk at work or not. Of course, preferably that I don't need sound for, although I've been known to take my headphones with me to the toilet at work to enjoy some Twitch on YouTube. 4G struggles to reach the work toilet sometimes, so I need something that doesn't rely on an internet connection, although I've been known to go up a few floors to those toilets to take advantage of the better mobile data reception. I was playing Yahtzee and doing some Sudoku, but this just feels like busy work than actually doing something with my life. While I'm on the subject, why do people put their phones on silent when on work/public toilets? We all know you're on it. All right, first question. Good mobile. Slay the Spire, Johnny Bravo. I didn't realize, but play Slay the Spire. If you haven't played it, even if you have played it, just play Slay the Spire on your fucking phone. 10 to 30 minutes, perfect amount of time for some Slay the Spire. Beautiful. Otherwise, maybe this Hearthstone fucking deck builder will go all right. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Second question, why do people put their phones on silent when on work public toilets? Is the implication here that Johnny Bravo's phone isn't always on silent? My phone is always on silent.
My phone is always on silent.
Yeah. My phone hasn't made fucking noise. I haven't had a phone that makes noise outside of the yapping of someone who's dared call me on the phone. I put my voicemail message now tells people to text or email me because I don't want to listen to voicemails. And I had some lady get really shirty at me. She texted after I missed the phone call. She texted, she's like, as per your rather rude voice message, I am texting you. I'm like, oh shit, did I swear in it or something? Did I tell him to fuck off with the... I went and listened back to him. I'm like, that seems pretty respectful. Like, just fucking, what the fuck? Anyway. Yeah, no. My phone's always on silent. What the fuck are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah. Any thoughts, Luke?
Not really. Most of the games I play are at this stage, like the stuff we've talked about, idle games, still playing Idle Slayer.
Yep.
I don't know what type of phone we're talking about. Like stuff like if you're an Apple user, check out Apple Arcade. It's a subscription service, sort of like Game Pass, where you get access to a library of games, and you could just jump in there and there's a bunch of games you can play on there. I use that on my iPhone, but on my Android, like every once in a while, every 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks, I'll check out the the Play Store, but nothing really jumps out at me. So I just kind of play the same two things over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my problem as well. Morkai writes, I was playing Egg Inc. for a while, but I uninstalled it last week because it was sapping my time and battery life. Egg Inc. bleeds. First of all, that's not a question, Mork. And second of all, Egg Inc. Doesn't have what you need. It doesn't have enough long tail longevity, unfortunately. I burned out on that one fucking yonks ago. Yeah. Heathy writes, there were 2 crabs. They work in pairs. I went to Annapolis, for Christ's sake. It's like Hot Shots, right? Hot Shots? That's on fucking... Oh, yeah, you don't care. But Disney Plus added Star, and there are so many fucking awesome movies. Oh, my God. Face Off, fucking Con Air.
Yeah, I watched that recently.
Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. Alien, the entire Alien fucking series, Predator movies, not except for the new one, Terminator Dark Fate. I didn't see any other Terminators. Big Trouble in Little China. Fuck yeah. Okay. He's added a text file again. Holla the gap. Tonight, I've been trying to explain to a mate what Arma 2 Wasteland was like, and it's made me realize I missed the fuck out of everything about that gaming experience. The gameplay, waiting for an objective to pop and deciding whether or not it was worth going for. Is its value worth the effort to get there based on our current location? How's our equipment situation? Our numbers? How many of us are drinking while we're playing? That one wasn't a consideration, but maybe it should have been. Working together as a team to achieve the objective was paramount. The threat that other human-controlled team could appear at any moment to try and take what was ours was ever present. We had to be on. Sometimes we were the ones looking for a fight. Sometimes we were laying in wait on a popular route between Novi and Ulovo, hoping an unsuspecting team would come along the road and we'd fuck them up, which brings me to the social aspect. I have a 3-part series on my YouTube channel of a session that lasted most of one Sunday. It started with just Joab and I trying to collect a weapons cache before being buzzed by a human-controlled helicopter. As the day goes on, more members of TFS join us. Our duo become a trio as Dr. Video Games joined us. More members come and go, but it was the type of game where that could happen seamlessly. We could go from playing silly buggers to being a semi-competent amateur milsim squad in a matter of moments. We all got along as well as you could hope as a team could. Good call-outs, useful information, solid plans with constructive criticism and no egos. But I was there. I don't understand. We'd stick together and work together. Joab's legs are broken after that firefight. Fiorin, you're the closest medic. You get him. I'll load that SUV with the caches. Heath's driving ahead and kicking up dust. In Joab's view, Joab will call passively me a dickhead. I assume passive-aggressively call me a dickhead, but we'll disembark in the forest, eliminate the threat, and be on our way. Next time we're in a secure enough position, I might passively shoot Joab in the leg and break it, but I'll medic him up before we head off and to try and grab that shulker that was west of our position. Maybe we'll camp it and grief whoever comes to try to claim it. What I'm saying is that, in my opinion, this is the best team-based shooter I've played. PUBG came close, though it fell short in a few ways. You can only have a max of 4 people per squad. That's understandable given the nature of the game. A squad of 6 would be overkill. Also in PUBG, there is the constant time constraint. It's always working against you. The only time constraint you had in Arma 2 Wasteland was that the server, say Steak and Beer, would reset at 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Otherwise, you could sit in the same place for as long as you like. Come to think of it, all the team-based shooters have these same problems whether it be Call of Duty, Battlefield, or R6. DayZ is the only thing that comes close, and I remember Joab describing Wasteland to people as DayZ and Fast Forward. If there was anything else that out there as open as Arma 2 Wasteland, then that's what I want to be playing. This leads me to my question. Do you guys have any other games that aren't around today and have you feel that way, the way I feel about Wasteland? Something that you spent maybe hundreds of hours playing with no regrets and wish you could jump in and continue tomorrow. Also, Pete Dead Meat Thompson is dead. So is Mo Green, Tartaglia, Barzini, the heads of all the five families. It's moments like these, my dear friends, that we must ask ourselves, how can this not be part of some larger plan? Do good men like Dead Meat Thompson just blink out one day like a bad bulb? I mean, 1 minute you're in bed with a knockout gal or guy, the next you're a compost heap. Doesn't that bother any of you? Because it scares the living piss out of me. Apathetic regards, Heath. As always, a weird ending. Luke, do you have any games that aren't around today and that have you feel the way that Heath feels about Wasteland? Some of you played hundreds of hours of with no regrets and wish you could jump in and continue tomorrow.
PUBG.
Got it. Yeah, PUBG. Is that it?
Yeah, I think PUBG. Is that the answer? Before they
PUBG's
fucked it. It's been a good while since we've had a shit on PUBG, right?
It's true. I did reinstall it the other week.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Gave it a bit of a shitting. I loved Wasteland. I loved that style of play. I wonder, there must be something.
What happened to DayZ? Like, weren't we supposed to jump into that again?
I installed it. I can't work out how to fucking start it. Like, I can't work out. It's like you try to join a server and it kicks you, but it doesn't tell you why it's kicked you. And if you Google the server that you were trying to join, there's like no official servers in Australia. If you Google the server you were trying to join, it like you can't get enough details on how the fuck you're supposed to join the whitelist.
Yeah.
And so I just sort of gave up. I'm like, okay. I guess this one's passed me by. Which sucks, but yeah. No, Wasteland was good. There must be some way to boil that loop down, right? It almost had like a bit of rust to it, but without the because I think that's what that loop was. But again, in fast forward, everything was a lot faster. Things meant less. It did have technically a time constraint. It was like if a PUBG game lasted for 8 hours or some shit. That's more like it. Like there was no circle closing. There was no clear objective. But if it had like a scoreboard at the end, you could analyze and determine a team that succeeded, and that would probably be enough to qualify Wasteland as a game that could be like that you could pitch to major publishers. They'd never make it, never in a million years, because there's just too much that could go wrong. But if you get it to a AA team, the way that Brendan Green got PUBG off the ground, that'd be something else. Wasteland fucking it ruled. It was fantastic. Or just do like a mod for PUBG that was Wasteland.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty interesting.
Hey,
I know, a mod for PUBG that made it good
PUBG
game.
2.
Genius.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good hotshot stuff, Heath. Very hot. Very shot.
Is that the questions?
That is the questions. Great questions.
One more thing. We had some breaking news while we were talking, while we've been podcasting. The Halo TV series will be premiering on Paramount Plus next year. So this has been filming they actually started filming this last year and then went on a break during all the COVID stuff. And today, Paramount Plus they're launching this new streaming service, and Halo will be one of the series to debut on that next year.
Yep.
I don't know if we've talked about this before. Pablo Schreiber will be Master Chief, or Master Chef, depending on how you pronounce it, who's been in a bunch of shows that I've watched. He's been in American Gods. He's in Orange is the New Black. He was in something I watched recently. It was called Defending Jacob with Chris Evans. Yeah, bunch of things there. Any thoughts on this at all?
Keen to see it, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked, what was that one that they had coming out alongside Halo 5?
I don't know. Can't remember.
But I like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good, so yeah.
Fair enough. All right, thought I'd just drop that in because that was happening while I've been chatting away. I think that's it. Yep. That's podcast.
Yep.
You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, all the places you get your podcast from, under the Gap or the GA Podcast. Please rate and review the show if you got a moment. It helps other people find us. You can send us questions via email, thegapodcast@gmail.com, or jump onto our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord, like all those other people did for this week. You can also just chat in our many, many rooms that we've got there, or play games. There's still a bunch of people playing Valhalla every night, it looks like, in there, like tons and tons of people. So that's cool. You can also find us on social media, twitter.com/the GA Podcast and facebook.com/the GA Podcast. I think we're back. I don't know what the fuck's going on there anymore. You can also find us on YouTube, thegapodcast.com/YouTube. You want to watch the podcast on video format. You can also find our website, thegapodcast.com. It's got links to all those things we just talked about, including past episodes of the show, if you want to go check them out. And that is all thanks to our Patreon members who help keep the podcast going and the site running. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/thegapodcast, become a recurring member, and get the podcast early, usually. I think I usually put it up like a couple hours after we finish recording here. So, yeah, a spicy little bonus for you. So thank you to everyone that does that. I greatly appreciate your support. Anything you would like to pimp out for this week that you got going on?
Head to OzGamers to check out my Crimson Heist preview there. I did another one on redbull.com. I don't know when that is going up, but should be up by the time most people listen to this.
Yep.
And stay tuned. Early next week, I should have some preview stuff of the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm playing that early and talking to the dev team about it.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome stuff. You can find me twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, LAWRIE, and your Joby Jojo on Twitter.
I am.
That is it. We'll be back next week. More podcasts, more video games, maybe some more TV music, movie news. No Borderlands news this week. They're on a break.
No. Gutted. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're trying to throw us off the trail.
Yeah. We caught on. I don't know. Maybe next week we'll find out who else is in that movie. I just want to know. I want to know what other catastrophe they're doing. Just give it to me. Fill me up with that nonsense. I'll have it. All right. Thanks for listening. See you next week.